in pain and still going through some trauma behind an apology that they never ever received. Black men only. Drops on Black Friday. I said what I said.
Now, I am apologizing to you in two ways. One, as a Black woman. Two, as a human being. Because what was taken from you was your humanity.
After story that essentially our brothers were deserting us and that they were turning towards Trump and going to vote for Trump in higher numbers than ever seen before, which was a lie. We think Trump pulled the same number of Black men as he did his last election. I believed all the stories. I got wrapped up in the hype. And you know why that's so crazy? Because I, Randy B, am the one who was always talking about how the media tries to manipulate us, how the media always shows the negativity within the Black community. And I'm the one who knows exactly how they manipulate us to create separation between us. But I fell for it. And I became upset. And I did my little think pieces. I think I was always respectful. I always try to be respectful. But I came for y'all. I was upset. I was hurt. Because, when my brothers, I take it personally. I take it personally. I got too much love there not to take it personally. And I was wrong. And I am sorry that I got wrapped up, that I trusted mainstream media, who has never, for the most part, reflected us in a good light or has ever done anything or written stories that unite us, for the most part. So I am sorry, and that's on me, and I will be more careful in the future. Black men, for the most part, stood by us. Are there the outliers? There's always going to be. But for the most part, brothers voted for us. And many are saying that they were voting our reproductive rights, us as women, and they were voting for a Black woman. May this election remind us. We may disagree all the time about things because we're family and families do that. But when it's time to unite and come through, we come through. We showed up for each other. We are a team. I don't want us to focus so much on how we're not good or the dissension between the two of us. Between Black men and Black women. I really would like for this to be a time of healing for all of us. Because if we don't have each other, we don't have nothing. If we didn't learn nothing about this election, we need to have learned that. And so thank you, Black men, for standing by us. I'm sorry. And I hope that we continue to build upon this. We use this as a moment to get even stronger.
That we ain't Night Riders. That we ain't Night Riders.
Welcome to the Knight Riders Squadcast live stream. You are now rolling with the Knight Riders.
Once again, it's on, and we are here. Salute to everybody in the building. Got my man D in the building early. Salute, bro. Going in on the opening clip as I knew he would. Yeah. Sometimes I just put certain things out there because I know, certain night riders are gonna, get in their feelings. So we just kind of like to pull people's chains sometime, but you know what it is. Salute to everybody in the background. I said we got D, we got Baby Love in the building. Salute. A couple people hanging out in the back. Good to see y'all. Yeah, so we're gonna get it in. Yeah, let's get that down there. So yeah, I'd like to welcome you all to another exciting episode of the Knight Riders Squadcast. And as per usual, we're going to get it done the only way we know how. And what's D in there talking about? Yeah, he's in there still going in on the one of the ladies in the opening clips there. But yeah, I think a couple of you had something to say. What did D say? He said he was talking about that she wasn't black. Where's that comment at? Man, D was in there going in. And he's calling her old and all kind of stuff. Yeah, he called her old. He said, I think Baby Love said she was long-winded. Yeah, so you guys are going in on her. You know what? We're going to chop that clip up because she said a few things that I'm going to address a little bit later. So we just use it as the opening. But, there's a couple of things that I need to address with regard to what she said. So we're going to get into that. Yeah, good evening to you, Baby Love. Good to see you. So, so we're going to get right into it because, I say this usually, but sometimes we, depending on what happens, we go over, but I don't want this to be a marathon. So we're going to get right into it. As you can tell by the title, we are going to deal with the topic of women themselves calling out each other for the fake apologies and destroying the Communitah. And as you could tell from those particular clips, they were pretty apologetic. And to be fair, one of those clips, this one right here, has been making its rounds.
Now, I am apologizing to you.
This clip is actually a bit older. As we did research on it, it had actually been floating around out there. For some reason, it resurfaced with this whole, apology tour that these women have been on, because apparently they mischaracterize the level of simpery that exists in the Communitah, to the tune of 78% of black men voting for Kamala. So essentially, these women were attacking a phantom. You know, it wasn't even a significant amount of men who I would surmise that actually voted, because that 78% is the percentage of the men who did vote, to be sure, but that's still an overwhelming majority, surprisingly, of black men who are, for all intents and purposes, voting against their rational self-interest. And then a lot of black men chose to, sit on the sideline, of course. But it begs the question: what exactly were these women bitching and moaning about, when historically, black men have been some of the most egalitarian, passive, frankly, bitch-made guys, at least in the past few generations. And when I say bitch-made, I mean specifically they were raised by what Israeli Lion would deem the B-devils. And again, we're not talking about the quality black women who understand what's actually going on, which kind of leads me to the point of tonight's broadcast, because we're going to show that there are some women who actually are going to deal with this situation appropriately, and they're going to be calling out the BS that's going on. And it's really quite interesting that it took these women to actually see the numbers to realize that has not been a huge deviation between black men and how they have been voting, being on that Democratic plantation over the past, few decades. But because there was an upsurge of a lot of men that were speaking out, and they were kind of a vocal minority who were pretty much talking about the fact that they don't want more of the same. They're looking at the community. They're looking at these policies. They're from blue states and blue cities, like a lot of us are, myself being from the Midwest, being from Chi-Town, which was a once great, beautiful city when I was growing up. And over time, we saw it degenerate into Gotham City, as per the reason that I'm no longer there, because even the Dark Knight has his limits. I was there fighting the good fight, but as I've gotten older, I decided my services would be better served elsewhere. So I decided to get up out of there, as a lot of people are aspiring to do who are in these Democratic blue hellholes. Now, a lot of the men who were speaking up and speaking out against this, they were vocal, and that created this uptick of panic with the sisterhood, and they felt this sense of betrayal and so forth, which is quite ironic because they were the first ones to betray the community when they decided to join up under the Lyndon Baines Johnson Great Society welfare state, which in fact is what helped to destroy and put the nail in the coffin of the black community. We're going to touch on that a little bit later as well. Got my man Shadow Zulu in the building. Salute, bro. He says, I 100% agree with D. We cannot have someone taking a DNA test and the results come back 1% Negro and 99% European claiming to be black. Yeah. Now, again, to be fair, I don't know the specific genetic makeup of the lady that you guys were referring to, but I was taken aback too, because clearly there seemed to be a high degree of admixture. And you know what? We may have to do a broadcast on this, because I see a disproportionate amount of those type of women who are really stirring the pot up when it comes to these type of issues. They really tend to be very vocal, and it's typically the women, these exoticals. And you guys wonder why I've been going in and keeping my boot on the neck of these exoticals. It's because a lot of them have been, committing these types of nefarious and frankly, agent-like moves, and it's created a lot of chaos and confusion, and they've been some of the biggest vanguards of the feminism that has permeated into the Communitah. But that's a subject for another video. But again, tonight we're going to take a little different turn, because we're actually going to use the words of other women to condemn the Dems, basically. And a lot of these women, such as your Candace Owens, I mean Candace Owens, we're going to be a little bit more respectful, because they are going to be making some good points. And we're going to bring out a couple of other YouTubers and ladies who have been vocal about the fact that this particular issue, in terms of all of the problems that are going on in the community, can be laid squarely at the feet of these women who, in decades past, made the decision that they would link up with the second wave of feminism and that they didn't need a man, and so forth. And while we, as patriarchal thinking alpha and sigma men, do feel that men are responsible for the community when they are in control of the community, but they have not been in the control of the community. So therefore, you have to give the responsibility to who has been responsible, who has controlled the purse strings in the community, who has raised the children in the community, hence these simps that have been growing up with these with this mentality that they could vote for Kamala Harris. I mean, that speaks for itself. But it's very interesting that we'll have this this nightmare of a situation going on, and the same women who are at the forefront of it don't want any responsibility. But tonight, what we're going to do is show that even other women are going in on these women, pointing out the hypocrisy, pointing out the fact that they are at a 92% clip still voting for the same policies that have destroyed their so-called community. But anyway, without further ado, we're going to get up into it. Yeah, so you guys are kind of going in on in the comments. Shout out Zulu and D says, he said they claim to be black and they know that they aren't, and they believe that they are the standard. Yeah. Well, D, to be honest, because of the self-hate, particularly of the Martin B. Dub, they have good reason to believe that, because when you have a lot of these women who are deferring to them and their standard, hence this whole thing that we've been identifying as this secret war between these, quote, unambiguous black women and the exoticals. That is what that is. That is the culmination of that particular issue with regard to these unambiguous black women who have, for all intents and purposes, given up their birthright as to be the standard for what black beauty should be as it pertains to women. And you notice on the other side with us men, we are the standard. Us unambiguous black men, we are the standard for virility, masculinity, attractiveness, everything that is the standard for attractiveness in a black man. Typically, it's us unambiguous black men who are the undisputed standard, right? So on their side, they have all these different standards, all these different external people coming in, and it's really kind of ridiculous. And again, when it comes to the men, it's not to say that guys who are not dark skin or unambiguous, that they cannot be considered attractive too. But by and large, if a man deviates too far from the standard of being an unambiguous black man, that he's no longer considered the standard. Hence, a lot of lighter skin or mixed guys are starting to feel alienated from the community, which leads me to a point is we're going to do a broadcast in a not too distant future about that subject, because I think that's something that's been going under the radar as well. And you know how we like to bring things out that a lot of people aren't talking about. And there is this contingent of lighter skinned guys who have been making a bunch of videos all across YouTube. I don't know if you guys have seen them, where they are starting to want to break away from the black community because they feel like they've been persecuted, or they're not getting the respect. They're being considered soft and weak, and they don't feel like they're part of the community like the ambiguous their ambiguous female counterparts. But we're going to get into that at some other time. But again, we're gonna go into what we're gonna talk about tonight. Yeah, we got you guys chopping it up. Baby Love says hypocrites as per usual. Yes, indeed. And D says they need to legitimize themselves as their own collective. Yeah. Oh, Iman in the building. Salute. And yeah, okay. So yeah, I appreciate you guys chopping it up. Good conversation going on in the chat. But anyway, let's get into this right here. Oh, in fact, since we're on that subject, let me go ahead and deal with this particular, not this one right here. Let me deal with this particular clip right here that you guys have been kind of talking about. So I'm going to dissect this real quick before we get into the main thing, because she did say a few things that I need to address. And this is this lady right here.
I woke up this morning and it was heavy on my heart that I owe my brothers an apology.
Now, D took offense to her using the term brothers. But again, I'm not sure exactly what her makeup is. Obviously, there's some, high admixture there. And let's be very clear. And I think I'm going to do a show on this too. And I know some of you may disagree, but that's fine. I like disagreement because I can always back up my positions. I take the position that, as the creator of the 80% 2x4 rule, skin tone is just a small part of it. It depends on your genetics. Because like I said, even an albino, which is a rare disorder, albinos are essentially Negroes, and they could be the product of two black unambiguous parents. And just because of genetic formality, they get that pale skin. Now, when it comes to this particular individual, I don't think she's an albino. I think there's a high degree of admixture. Again, I don't know her makeup. I don't know who her parents or grandparents are, but I would surmise that she may not meet our standard in terms of being 80% 2x4. But we're going to get into what she's saying here, and we're going to dissect it because there's a few things that I want to point out. So let's get it. Oh, by the way, because I know D in particular, he says she is pale. He says no, phenotype is everything. White, Washingtons, Charles Zulu. And then D says albinism is a mutation and it's rare. Yeah, it is. But D, like I said, I said it's rare, but that doesn't negate the fact that albinos are actually Negroes. Unlike, people with high admixtures, which I would surmise this is what she is. So I don't think she's an albino. But D says Caucasians are albino. Actually, no, they are part Neanderthal, and that's and I brought out the data already, and that's where they get their light skin from and straight hair. We already put the facts out there using the science, so that's why they are. It's not because they're albinos. It's because they have genes from the Neanderthals, which gives them the lighter skin and the straight hair. So that's a fact. But again, that's a subject for another video. I don't want to get too deep into that. But we're going to break down some things that she's saying. So we're going to go into that. So let's get it.
The news created story after story that essentially our brothers were deserting us and that they were turning towards Trump and going to vote for Trump in higher numbers than ever seen before, which was a lie. We think Trump pulled the same number of black men as he did his last election. I believed all the stories. I got wrapped up in the hype. And you know why that's so crazy? Because I, Randy B, am the one who was always talking about how the media tries to manipulate us, how the media always shows the negativity within the black community.
Okay, so let's look at what she just said here, right? So she, on the one hand, and we're just taking what she's saying for face value. Again, we're just going to dissect the points. We're not going to get too caught up on her with regard to her phenotype right now for the purposes of the point I'm making. She's making the point that even though she had been an advocate for talking against media propaganda and how it is used as a tool to, in her words, divide the black community. My question is, then why was it so easy for her to jump on that bandwagon and throw black men under the bus to the point that she has to get out here and give an apology, because apparently she was going in besmirching black men without even knowing the facts. So my point is, look how easy it is for her. And I'm not sure how big her platform is, but I'm sure she may have made a couple videos or broadcasts, demonizing black men. So it's quite interesting that she would be out here at this state now retracting what she said, when you would think that she would have not even took that position if in fact she is so cognizant of how the media is used specifically against black men to demonize our image. So in and we already broke down the information that proved that Kamala is not even a black woman, which is apropos because this woman may not be black. So what I find very irritating, just like that degenerate by the name of Sonny Hostin, who's on The View, who we body bagged a couple broadcasts ago, proving that she's the descendant of slave owners, that she's not a black woman at all, and she's literally descended from slave owners, that she had the audacity to be trying to demonize black men, calling black men crazy with bugged out eyes, is what she, when she started trying to demonize black men, she herself looking crazy, and not even being a black woman, while at the same time criticizing and demonizing black men for not supporting a non-black woman, essentially, who was perpetrating and grifting as one. I just find that incredible. So just look at the fact that this woman is out here giving this little bullshit apology, while at the same time admitting that she knows about the propaganda machine as it pertains to black men, but yet that did not stop her from putting out whatever negative information she put out against black men that she now has to eat her words about. But let's get a little bit more.
And I'm the one who knows exactly how they manipulate us to create separation between us. But I fell for it, and I became upset, and I did my little think pieces. I think I was always respectful. I always try to be respectful, but I came for y'all. I was upset. I was hurt because, when my brothers, I take it personally. I got too much love there not to take it personally. And I was wrong.
Okay, so she's talking about how much love she has for, quote, her brothers. But again, if in fact you know that there's this propaganda campaign against black men, why are you so quick to throw them under the bus, especially for the fact that this was not a black woman? And I would hold that standard to the unambiguous black women as well, who were caping for Kamala. And because they were some of the main ones out there too, throwing black men under the bus. And then now they're coming out with these half-hearted apologies, trying to retract their statements. But let's get a little bit more.
And I am sorry that I got wrapped up.
And to your question, baby love, again, I'm not sure what her genetic makeup is, but to some of our points, we do see that she may not meet the standard that we've created over here, which is the 80% rule, 80% African DNA, 2 black parents, 4 black grandparents, because a lot of that would, mitigate some of this foolery that we see out here. And not in every case, because let's be clear, there are a lot of unambiguous black people as well who are part of this foolery. But my point is, why add to that mix when you have enough garbage going on of the unambiguous type that you need to import people like her and others who may very well not even be black, such as Kamala, who still want to grift themselves into the black community, dumping all their dysfunction. And, that's this extra BS that you have to deal with. So that's why the 80% 2x4 rule is so important. But let's get it.
That I trusted mainstream media.
So she trusted mainstream media. So when it comes to black men and black men's image, She won't give you guys the benefit of the doubt, although she's claiming how much she loves black men. She doesn't stop to think that she's going to wait until the numbers come out. She's just listening to the media, and she's going to throw them under the bus, even though she loves them so much. But she says she trusted the media, the same media that she admits is part of a propaganda machine. Let's get it.
Who has never, for the most part, reflected us in a good light, or has ever done anything or written stories that unite us, for the most part. So I am sorry, and that's on me, and I will be more careful in the future. Black men, for the most part, stood by us. Are there the outliers? There's always going to be. But for the most part, brothers voted for us.
Okay, so it's amazing how she's associating voting for Kamala with, quote, voting for them, or as she phrased it, us. That just shows you the level that these women are in. Because remember, we're talking about the 78% of black men, the ones who voted for Kamala. 92% of those women, black women, voted for her. So that tells you how bad the rot is in terms of the amount of propaganda these women have ingested from the DNC and from all these different social constructs that they've been brainwashed over these years, to where 92% are voting. And black women are the only demographic that had that high of a percentage for any party. It's sick for a group to be that much in the tank for any party. I mean, there's basically no dissension. They're basically like a Borg. For all the stereotyping that they like to do against black men are way more diverse. Even in this little example where we're talking about voting habits, if 78%, so that's almost a full 20 or close to 30% of black men who diverge fundamentally in their voting habits. And that's not including the ones who stood down and didn't vote. But you see, there's a wider range of diversity in the mentality and in the philosophies of black men, for all of the stereotypes that they try to do to black men, like black men are all the same, when we are more diverse as a group than they are, because they are like a Borg, all voting the same for the most part, all wearing the same goddamn weaves, all doing the same type of foolery, wanting the same thugs. So, there's more of a monolith when it comes to them. So when we look at the so-called community and the destruction that has come, everything that's going on is endorsement from them as a collective, because they control 70% of the economy in terms of the spending. Black men don't spend as much money as black women. That's why there's so much catering that's done to them or for them, because they are the ones that are pretty much spending the money that creates all of the dysfunction that we see. So it's amazing how they can, in the one hand, make it seem as though they're all in this by themselves, but they're the ones who have raised these beta males who are voting in tandem with them. Unlike any other group, black men, as I said earlier, are more in lockstep, more, as I said, bitch made, to use scientific terms, but they are more acquiescent to their women counterparts than any other men group. And they still were getting thrown under the bus by the likes of females like this. But let's get a little bit more.
And many are saying that they were voting in support of our reproductive rights, us as women, and they were voting for a black woman. May this election remind us of how united black people are. We may disagree all the time about things because we're family and families do that. But when it's time to unite and come through, we come through.
Yeah, and Baby Love, it was consistent. I think the percentages with black men were about the same, a little bit over 20%. And that's what they did last time. but they got a lot more demonization this time because the media were the ones that hyped it up so big. And fools like this on the screen were the ones who were buying into it and putting out all these false narratives. When, to be honest, the fact that that high of a percentage of black men voted for Kamala shows you the extent to which how lost they are, and how they're basically the bastard sons of single mothers, and they are basically voting against their rational self-interest as men. That's what that proves. But Israel in line in the building, salute. And Shadow Zulu, yeah, by the way, bro, and everybody give Shadow Zulu a round of applause. He's one of the Night Riders who has his own featured video. So I don't know if you guys saw it, but Shadow Zulu, it was one of our lives. It was our live that we did about the Night Riders lifestyle video, or the broadcast that we did on the lifestyle of the Night Riders. And during that broadcast, Shadow Zulu was almost a victim of a home invasion, but he had to go get that imp beam. You know, he had to put the beam on him. Some dude was trying to get in his crib, and that was live during the broadcast. So it was crazy. So we did a little snippet of that. We did a clip, and we put it out there on the channel. So Shadow Zulu is one of the featured Night Riders. So let me see if I can give him a round of applause. So all you guys should inspire to have some, some things like that happen, so you can get your own little featured video. So who's doing that for you guys, right? You can go check it out on the videos. Shadow Zulu. We got a thumbnail for him. He got the inf beam out. And, based on what happened on one of our previous broadcasts, where during the broadcast, he was his house was almost invaded, but he had to put that laser beam on somebody. Yeah, so we're going to give Shadow Zulu a round of applause. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Is it playing? Yeah, I thought my applause effect was working. I don't know if you can hear it. Let me put that in. Yeah. Yeah, so that's yeah, so that's that a round of applause. Hopefully y'all heard that. But yeah, shout out to Shadow Zulu. You guys go check out the video, comment on it, and give Shadow some support. Let that be. I think that's going to be a nice video. I think that video is going to do some numbers, because it's a unique situation where somebody actually had to pull that thing out, put that heat out on a home invader. He put that beam on him. So go check out the video that we did for Shadow Zulu. Yeah, and D said he saw it. Cortez Smith in the building. Salute, bro. Good to see you. Cortez Smith in the house. Yeah, he says they don't need more rights. Exactly. And then Cortez says, why is there only concern deleting baby? Exactly. They are brainwashed by propaganda and only repeat what's in the media. Precisely. And D says, yeah, I saw that. Yeah, so yeah, it was a very interesting thing. He said, glad you didn't have to take his life. Yeah, that'd have been crazy. I know that would have been a first. I'm like, man, during our live. But yeah, I'm glad too, because like I even said during the video, I said I probably would have popped some off, not to hit him, but I would have made him very careful not to come back. I would have just, put some in the air or something. I would have had to make an example so that he didn't come back. But that was just me. But you putting that inf beam on him was probably enough. So hopefully you want to see him again. And Shadow says, I don't. That cat is coming back. I think you meant I don't think that cat is coming back to break my door down again. That infrared laser on the burner made him reconsider. Yeah, you said you put it on his temple, right? Okay. Shout out to Shadow Zulu. But what's so perfect about that happening was that was pretty much the topic, because the broadcast was about the night rider's lifestyle, and one of our tenets is, you know, being protected, being prepared. So he exemplified that right during our live. So that's what was so crazy about it. So I had to, we had to clip it and make a video about it. It's just cyborg Zulu. All right, yeah, but let's get a little bit more of this foolery, and we're gonna get into some of the main clips. Let's go.
Real. We showed up for each other. We are a team. I don't want us to focus so much.
Now you notice she's talking about how, quote, we are a team, but what happened to the team when you thought that they wasn't doing what you wanted them to do? So they're only a team when they're bowing down and scraping and voting the way you want. They're not able to stand up as men, assess the situation, and say, yo, I'm going to do what's in my rational self-interest. I see the community is fucked up. I don't like it. These same motherfuckers have been in power. They've been the ones screwing up everything. So I'm sick and tired of it. So I'm going to vote differently. So they don't have it within their own right as a man, and you're not going to support them in their own decisions. See, once you thought that they were gravitating away from what you want, then all of a sudden you got a problem. But now you find out that you were wrong and that they are the simps that you thought they were. But now it's all good. Now you're a team again. Yeah, you see that BS right there? Let's go.
Or how we're not good, or the dissension between the two of us, between Black men and Black women. I really would like for this to be a time of healing for all of us, because if we don't have each other.
See, now it's a time for healing, but where was the healing when she thought that these guys were going against the plantation politics? See, at that point, it was all, they ain't shit, they going against the grain, so it's a problem, right? But now she realized she was wrong, and then all of a sudden it's about healing. Okay.
So we don't have nothing. If we didn't learn nothing about this election, we need to have learned that. And
but I just find it highly offensive that you got this woman here who is caping so hard for a non-Black woman, i.e. Kamala. And let's be clear, that just makes it worse. But it would be the same thing if it was somebody else, even if they were Black, and then they were still a do-nothing candidate, such as Kamala, who wasn't going to do a damn thing for him anyway. But it just adds insult to injury, the fact that this has not been a Black woman. And as we pulled out the receipts, we showed videos of one Candace Owens, who, for all the issues we have with her, she did a stand-up job in revealing that Kamala, for all intents and purposes, created a whole fiction surrounding her family, even had the nerve to create a whole grandma that wasn't hers, using a Black, somebody else's grandma who was an unambiguous Black woman, and she's trying to claim that as her own. All type of foolery. It was a whole rabbit hole of BS going on. The extent to which this woman was grifting, it would put Rachel Dolezal to shame. But this type of individual on the screen had the nerve to try to demonize actual Black men for not voting for the likes of a Kamala. That part right there is just outrageous. But let's get a little bit more.
So thank you, Black men, for standing by us. I'm sorry. And I hope that we continue to build upon this. We use this as a moment to get even stronger.
Yeah, so there you go. So I just wanted to, break that down and show you guys how deep that BS goes, where you have people like that out there demonizing the image of Black men just off some BS, just because they didn't toe the line with them and they're false. To be honest, I mean, it's a road to perdition. It's a road to destruction anyway. And the fact that they had the nerve to get mad at the men who had the sense to want to get off the plantation, and then they're going to sit there and try to demonize them on top of it. That's outrageous. But anyway, let's get into it. We're going to go in, and he said facial surgery. Yeah, you know what? You might be right, bro. And then Israel says they can keep on being the dogs that waits for the crumbs under Brad and Becky's table. Yeah, that's pretty much what they're good for. Iman says now they want to unite after Kamala lost. Yeah, yeah, Iman, that is pretty interesting, right? And I guarantee you, had she won, they would not be that willing to talk about some freaking teamwork. They'd be on some we the boss and black girl magic to that Indian woman. So it took an Indian woman to give them black girl magic. So they'd have been on some bullshit like that. It wouldn't have been no teamwork, make the dream work, and all that bullshit. They'd have been talking about how they the queens, they the bosses, and they would have been insufferable, even more so than they are now. So, if for nothing else, you guys should be happy that things turned out the way they did for that reason alone. But anyway, let's get some clips. We're gonna go into these women because we go in, we say what we say, but let's look at some of the women and some of the things that they have to say about this whole thing. And we're going to see if, if there's starting to be an awakening in terms of this internal conflict that's going on between these women. And we're going to point out, some of the things that they are even saying about each other. So let's get it. Yeah, let me pull up this first clip right here. One moment.
Black man. Y'all, I'm calling this "You Better Thank a Black Man" trend. Okay, our brothers are under attack. Black men, thank you for voting to protect our young ladies in those very intimate spaces, such as public restrooms and girls' locker rooms.
Now, this is not what you might think it is, because she's actually thanking the 20% of black men who actually did vote against Kamala. So that's what she's doing. So contrary to what some people might think, she's not thinking the ones who voted for Kamala. But I'm going to let her rock out and we're going to talk about it. Let's go.
Thank you. Black men, 20% of you are under attack right now. So some of us thought it was necessary to get on here and show you our appreciation for voting for President Trump, because we understand why you did it. Also, we
Yep. Amen, Israel. That's a good point. No more leftovers, no more BSing. See, that's what they don't understand. See, I'm going to have to point out a few things. What these women don't understand is that the only type of guys who accept what they've done historically and what they're currently doing as far as the treachery, see, they don't realize what they've done. See, they think they could, because even with a woman like this, I appreciate what she's saying, but it still might be too little too late, because a lot of guys, like Israel just said, you're not even playing the game anymore. You don't care. You're stacking your dough. You're doing what you got to do, and you're just moving the way you're going to move. Because what these women don't understand is that with masculine men, specifically with us Sigma men, we don't take treachery very lightly. And the only type of men who will turn the other cheek and all that kind of BS, and while you're turning cheeks, they may as well spread them, because that's what they've been doing all this time. But anyway, we don't play games when it comes to the treachery. And what these women don't understand is when they get into their masculine energy, the response that a man does is that when you come at a man with masculine energy, we're going to respond with masculine energy. And it's unforgiving. It's just like warfare, right? There's no looking at you like a woman in terms of how you're coming at us. What you're doing is putting yourself in the position as an op, so that and I'm not talking about the woman on the screen. I'm just talking about the women and how they've been moving over these past decades, and how a lot of us have peeped game and we're not even playing the game no more. So that's what they don't understand. And they don't understand how real men move. So because they're so used to dealing with beta simps that they don't, and those are the type of dudes who put up with all that bullshit. They don't know how real men move until we start moving. And then they realize, oh shit, they ain't playing with us. They're gone. They're not even dealing with us. They don't care. So that's what they're starting to realize. And I think a lot of these women, they're finding out too little too late. But anyway, Let's get it. D. Yeah, D, you know what it is. Yeah, you know I gotta go in. It's emails. Yeah, but yeah, we're gonna get a little bit more what she gotta say. Let's go.
I'd like to say thank you for voting to secure scholarship opportunities for our daughters.
Yeah, so that's Cortez. That's what I'm saying. They don't understand that that's how masculine men look at it. When we see what you've done over these past years, we see that as treason, and there's no trust anymore. We see what you've done. We see the programs that you've been a part of. We see, even at this late date, look at what they've done in terms of their voting block. 92% of them are still voting for the same party that has screwed up them and the community for all these decades. And they still ain't learned a goddamn thing. So, those of us who understand this, we already see what it is. We're like, listen, there's no fixing that. They're done. So there's no negotiation no more. We didn't walk away from the table. And one of the good things about being a masculine man is that you know when to get away from the negotiating table, when you're not going to get with something that's conducive to what you want, and you're not going to take a shit deal. See, a beta male and a simp will take a deal just to be at the table. A real man's going to get his chips and get the fuck on. We're not going to sit there and try to deal in a situation where we're not going to be able to get the best deal. So we're not even going to play the game. So that's what they need to understand. But let's go.
Our young ladies work so hard in their prospective sports and activities. They should not have to share those opportunities.
You know what, D? She might be old, but yeah, she's saying the right things, though. So I'll give her that, unlike the other one. But let's go.
Biological men. Thank you for voting to secure those opportunities for their futures. Speaking of futures, while this one is not perfected yet, we would like to say thank you for voting for life. On behalf of the millions of babies who have yet to be born, you have voted to give them life, love, and a pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, so right there, she's pointing out the fact that a lot of these guys who did vote against Kamala, because again, you know that the primary um, platform issue that she was running on was the right for them to delete the young, right? So she's talking about how the guys who went against the grain were the ones who said that they're going to vote for unborn generations and so forth. So she's kind of flipping it a little bit because a lot of these broads, like the one we just played, the ambiguous woman we played earlier, she was trying to reward the men for voting for more of the same murking that's been going on with the youngins. But this one right here is rewarding the men who voted against that. But let's go.
So on behalf of those babies, we say thank you. Thank you for voting to keep our children pure in heart and mind as they go to school to get an education and not be indoctrinated with sexually explicit and immoral content. We'd also like to say thank you for voting on behalf of parental rights. It is the responsibility of parents to train up their children in the way that they should go and to pass along their moral compass and family values. You voted to protect the rights of parents to advocate properly on behalf of their children. Not only that, you voted to permit the parents the rights to teach their young sons and daughters that not only are there differences between the genders, but there are only two, and that it is okay for young men to be full of masculinity, to be very energetic and boisterous, and it's all right for our young ladies to be soft and feminine and to be protected by this.
Yeah, Iman, that's a good point. Yeah, you talking about the 7% that did not vote for her? That's amazing because that shows you how gone they are. And let's be clear, I'm not even political. I don't really believe in either side, but clearly the better option if you're trying to get change and if you actually care about improving the quote community, and for all the complaining that these women do about quote Blackistan, they sure as hell don't have the cognitive ability or the critical thinking skills to put two and two together and see that the very same party that they are voting for at a clip of 92% is the same party responsible for the Blackistan that they always love to talk about. So that's the part that's amazing. But yeah, it's only, like Iman said, 7 or at most 8% of them who may get it. And that lets you know is an overwhelming majority of them that are not compatible with most of you guys. But let's go.
Masculine energy from our young men. Everyone's freedom of religion. Now this,
Well, she might be, but again, I'm not saying that a lot of these women are the best in terms of communication, but as long as they have the right type of mentality and they can be guided, then I'm willing to kind of hear them out. Even though, for all intents and purposes, like as I said, it may be too little, too late. I'm gonna let you guys assess whether or not, um, or how you want to um, view women like her, because we got some other ones as well, um, who are maybe saying some things that you could agree with. But as we just saw, when it comes to the numbers, they're in a distant minority. As much as they like to try to claim that black men, there's only a few black men out there. No, it's a far fewer or slimmer pickings for actual quality men who have righteous values. There's a lot less of them for you to choose from than them. And what's so crazy, guys, is for Christians, because I think 80 or 90% of black women in America specifically claim to be Christian. Isn't it interesting that the very party that they keep voting for is diametrically opposed to all of those so-called Christian values that they're supposed to have? Isn't it weird that it's almost a complete parallel number? It's like 80, 90% of them claim to be Christians, and 90% of them plus are voting for democratic policies, which are totally opposite. Now, now you're dealing with an unstable, insane creature that will claim a religion that has certain tenets and certain beliefs, which their own God that they're claiming to serve is diametrically opposed to the policies that they're pushing, such as deletions. But they're putting their policies of the Democratic Party over their own religion. It's insanity. But let's go. Oh yeah, he said it's theater, really. Let's go.
could be talked about forever. But in this country, we all understand how important that is, regardless of what your religious affiliation is or whether you even have one or not. Thank you, Black men, for seeing the value of voting in a president who honors and cares about everyone's freedom of religion. Just in general, a constitutional president is important. So we appreciate you guys, Black men, for seeing the value of.
Yeah, that's my point, Cortez. It's almost an exact opposite. It's crazy. It's like saying that you like hot weather, but then you're saying I like cold weather too at the same time. It's ridiculous. It's like polar opposite. It's like it's uncompatible. It's incompatible. That's why they're so batshit crazy. Is because they're contradiction. They're a walking contradiction. Because just we have numeric numbers for this. This is not a matter of opinion, even though you all have um, anecdotal, empirical proof about the instability and insanity of a lot of these women because you've dealt with them um, in the past, even though you may not now, but you have, just like I have. Even though it's like when I used to live there years ago, but you can always tell that there was something off, but we have measurable, quantifiable data which shows how ridiculous and unstable and contradictory they are just by virtue of the fact that, again, 90 something percent of them are claiming to be Christian and 90 some percent of them are voting Democrat. Those are incompatible, and that shows a complete contradiction.
That as well. our First Amendment rights, our Second Amendment rights, potential national reciprocity. Thank you for seeing the importance of protecting America the Beautiful, establishing strong borders, and maintaining our nation's sovereignty. Thank you for seeing how important that is as well. Thank you for voting in just some simple common sense and order back into a nation full of chaos and disorder. We don't want to see you attacked. God bless you. God bless this country. And God bless President Trump. You better thank a black man.
Yeah, so I just want you guys to see that, because there are some of them who, even though they're in a distant minority, they're starting to say certain things to kind of go against the sisterhood. And notice how they're attacked when they do so. Some of them have to get ran off of YouTube and so forth. So it's amazing. But yeah, let's get some more clips. Yeah, we're gonna go with Candace Owens here. I think that's the next clip up. She's about to go in. She's gonna be going in on these black women. So again, for all the going in that we do, sometimes it's good to just kind of sit back and let them go in on each other, because it's just it's amazing that that so many are out here with these contradictions. But let's go.
On the show, we have to discuss Disney because they really need a new princess. I don't know if you guys have been following the never-ending scandal of Rachel Zegler, their Snow White remake princess, but this young woman is clearly mentally deranged, and she's now posted on her social media calling for Trump supporters to be harmed. Like, this is just not even normal. They've already had to delay this film because this woman can't close her mouth, and now...
Yeah, that's correct, Israel. YT Jeebus is their that's their escape hatch. That's the get out of jail free card that they keep using over and over again.
Now she's calling for violence. And also, we're going to cover Matt Gaetz because the media is in the midst of a meltdown over him being nominated as the U.S. attorney. And I think I have an idea why that might be. All that coming up on Candace. It's like it means either black in all of America.
Yeah, so we're going to break down some of what she says here. And again, we make it clear that we don't necessarily rock with Candace Owens. And there's specific reasons for that I may get into a little bit later. But when it comes to these facts that she's about to drop, we got to rock with these, because she basically is concurring with a lot of the things that we say over here. But let's get it.
Where I think I'm just getting angry with black women. I'm getting angry with black women in particular. So I just want to first take a look at this exit poll from the election. Just take a look at this exit poll. And if you look down at black women, our voting margins are just incredible. We are the only group in America that is voting 92% Democratic. 92% Democratic is...
Yeah, look at that. You see how, now look, on the face of it, that is insanity. But let's be clear about something. Why are they doing that? They're doing that because that particular party is the party that has placated to them, pumped their heads up, deceived them, given them these little trinkets, giving them all the various things that it takes to run game on them to keep their ass on that plantation. So when I believe it was Lyndon Baines Johnson, when he said he gonna have them niggas voting Democrat for the next 200 years, he was talking about them. Now, to be sure, black men, unfortunately have a significant number too, but certainly it's not to the extent that it is with black women. So unlike black men, though, I believe black women are getting at least some crumbs, like somebody said earlier, off the table, which kind of makes sense as to why, those numbers are so high, even though it's deleterious to the overall welfare, no pun intended, but I mean the true welfare, not a welfare check, but the actual welfare and well-being of what they would consider to be the community. But look at that. That is an unsustainable number, that you have that type of just almost to a person, they're all voting the same way. It's ridiculous. But let's go.
absolutely amazing. So this means one of two things. Like, it means either Black women are geniuses. We are the most ingenious people in the entire, in all of America.
Yep, D, they're carrying them. And like Shadow said, they want free stuff. And for the most part, D and Shadow, they've been getting it. Unlike you guys. See, they don't give Black men free stuff, which begs the question why them dumb Negroes were voting. Oh, it's because they mama told them to. That's what it was. Yeah.
America, we've figured things out. We understand the political system, and everybody else is being defrauded somehow by splitting up their votes. Or it means that we are very much a monolith and nobody is taking us seriously anymore.
Yep, they are strong and independent with Zaddy's money. You know, with Uncle Sam's money. That's how they get to be strong and independent.
Okay. So why am I upset? Because my entire political life, since I got into politics in 2015, I have had to deal with accusations coming from Black media, coming from Black stars, coming from Black hip hop artists, that I'm a fraud, that I'm a sellout.
Yeah, Cortez. And you know what? That wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't for the fact that they're wrong on damn near everything. That's the problem. See, if you can coalesce a monolith among a group and they're doing power moves and they're actually building and they're actually doing things that are right, that's a very powerful thing to have, because there are certain subgroups and things like that. They are kind of monolithic in how they move, but they do it for the benefit of themselves and the larger community to which they belong. Whereas these Black women who have become this monolith, they're moving in such a way as to only get themselves some crumbs and little trinkets while sabotaging the larger community. That's why you had on that Cocktails with the Queens, when Ice Cube was on there and he was talking about that contract with Black America, and they were looking at him crazy, talking about what he gonna do for Black women. And he was like, well, aren't Black women a part of the community? And they were like, hell no. They want something for them. Why? Because they are a monolith onto themselves. They have a specific ideology that runs counter to the benefit of what would be beneficial to the community, which is having dominant men running it the way it was in years past when we were able to build empires and kingdoms. But now they want to have this dysfunction, and they just want to be the queen of the damned. They just want to be the head, the top of the scrap heap, and they don't give a damn about the larger community. That's what the problem is. And in that particular party is what's enabled them to do it. But let's go.
She sold out. I don't know how I sold out by committing myself to voting for Donald Trump. That's just kind of what they say. You're a coon. You're an Uncle Tom. They're allowed to use racist terms explicitly for some reason if you're a Black conservative. And essentially, and this really is one of the dumbest plot lines ever, the reason, their proof that I have somehow sold out is because, well, obviously she must be doing this for money. Except I have never, and I will state this one more time for the record, actually probably more in the future, I have never, ever, ever been paid a single dollar from the Trump campaign. Never. Not once, throughout anything. You can't dig it up in an FEC filing, nothing. I actually said what I...
And even Candace right here, she admittedly was once on the Democratic plantation too, but she realized how BS it was when they kept using the same type of rhetoric and so forth. And I think what made her switch is during Trump's first administration, when they kept trying to talk about how he was going to put them back in chains and slavery. And that pretty much turned her off, because that's literally what Joe Biden said, that Trump was going to put them in chains and all this type of, fear mongering that they were doing. And so she was starting to get turned off around that time. I think I heard her say that. So it just depends on the level of the intelligence, because to be honest, there's different levels to this, and some of them are smarter than others. And if they are like Candace and they could rub two brain cells together and they get to figuring out that they're being manipulated, then they'll wake up. But for the vast majority, to the tune of 90-something% of them, we see how stupid they are and how they can't read the room, and they don't realize that they're the butt of the joke. But let's get it.
I believed. I know that's quite shocking, but I actually said what I believed. So you have to imagine my frustration when it has been revealed recently, that the Democratic Party is paying eye-watering amounts to the very people in the Black community that are somehow perceived as authentic. Like the people that, I don't know.
Hey, D, wait, you talking about her speech pattern. What do you mean by that? D, you talking about her little bed winch accent? What are you talking about?
Pass the black test, the black litmus test. Oh, she's a real one. Somehow she's a real one because what? She's a part of the 92% monolith, which is an absolute, just ridiculous. So Kamala's 107 days.
Man, that's funny, Cortez. Maybe that's what the zaddies like. You know, they like those little weird. I don't think Candace is unattractive. You know, she's not. You know, she don't really do it for me like that. But you know, she's I mean, a strong 5, I would say. You know, that's just my opinion. You guys could rate as you like.
Campaign. I feel like I always have to remind people that she only campaigned for 107 days. It was unlike any other campaign for a lot of reasons. One of them being just the sheer amount of celebrity endorsements that were jammed into such a short window of time regarding a candidate that none of them could have known intimately. None of them could have really known her policies intimately or what she believed in enough to get on stage and to endorse her with so much passion. So much passion as in J-Lo cried. She literally was brought to tears by a woman that nobody liked the entire time she was VP. Remember, people were just cycling out of her office all the time. There were all those articles talking about how nobody liked to work for her because she didn't like to work, but then liked to blame people for.
You said she just funny looking. She look like Ramil Amir. I'm not sure who that is, but I'm gonna have to look them up after that.
The work that was not being done, which really has just been a model after Kamala's life. We've learned this from Judge Joe Brown, everyone who's worked with her. She was essentially just like handed her entire life because she slept with the right people. So her campaign really was just more of that. It was an utter clown show. I don't know what she did other than word salad and say things and keep.
Now, Candace is making some good points right there. She's saying, well, what exactly were they so gung-ho about? Like she said, she's not and look at that pause right there. But anyway, I didn't do that intentionally, but whatever. She made a good point right there because what she was saying was that the people who were making such a big deal about her, what did she do? I mean, she was an utter failure on the campaign trail. She was fumbling and bumbling her way through every interview, just a bunch of word salad with no dressing. And it was crazy. And these same idiots are trying to demonize people for not voting for essentially nothing. It's crazy. You guys going in, yeah. But again, I didn't try to pause her there. But anyway, the fact of the matter is, what exactly was their point to begin with? This was all just to keep Negroes on the plantation, particularly black men, and it was a utter failure. And the fact that these women are so boneheaded as to not be able to put 2 and 2 together and realize how they've gotten played, they didn't even give them an actual black woman. They gave them a grifter, and they didn't care. They simply did not care. I mean, because I didn't see not one of them try to refute the information that either Candace and others brought out, talking about and showing that Kamala was in no way, shape, or form an actual black woman. And Charles Zulu says, "Who wants to put the mic in?" Man, hey, it is what it is, bro. But anyway, we're gonna have to continue.
Calling Trump people confused and racist. That was kind of the messaging that was coming out, and dangerous. And if this guy gets into office, all of the same stuff. And then also, of course, leaning into this idea that abortion was this existential crisis for women. Okay, so now it's being reported that some of these celebs that came out, far from speaking out because they were worried about the future.
Yeah, that's why I said, D. I mean, some people, like I said, she ain't really my cup of tea, but she ain't bad. Like I said, I give her a 5. That's me. I think Iman gave her a 5.5. It just depends. But no, I don't consider her ugly though. I don't like her mentality, of course, but the parts that I don't like, I do agree with some of what she says. Hence the reason why I'm using some of her clips. But you know what? Let me go out and just briefly say one of the things I have a problem with her, and we did something when she first got her ass kicked off of the what was it called, the Wire or whatever that broadcast she was on. Those, I think it was last year when she got kicked out of that. And we did a full breakdown of Candace, so you guys can go check it out. Where I gave a synopsis as to why I had a problem with her. But I'll just say briefly, see, she's nothing more than a political prostitute that will go to where she knows she's going to get that bag, and she doesn't mind throwing what she should consider her own people under the bus, just like with that George Floyd situation. And I'm not trying to lionize George Floyd, irrespective of whatever he was into. The way that she kept trying to justify the fact that he was killed, that kind of was an issue, because the bottom line was she was making it seem as though because he may have had fentanyl in his system or whatever it was, or that he allegedly had committed a crime, that justified a law enforcement agent, having his knee on his neck for 9 minutes. And again, she kept trying to make it seem like, well, people trying to make him into a saint. No. Every person that's in America is supposed to have the right of due process without being victim of someone being a judge, jury, and executioner on the street. That was completely an illegal hold that they had him in. They had the other cops that were holding him down. Chauvin had his knee on his neck. And what people did not talk about, I feel, nearly enough, is that they knew each other before that, because Derek Chauvin actually was a bouncer at the same club that George Floyd was at, and George Floyd was over him before Chauvin even became a cop. And then there was this situation where they had some type of issue because George Floyd was in charge of paying Chauvin. And I think Chauvin had did something wrong, and then Floyd didn't, had withheld his payment because of Chauvin. I think he was trying to rough people up too much or something, trying to be Billy Badass or whatever. And I think George Floyd had checked him. I don't know if you guys even know about this, but do some research. They knew each other, and he knew who he was. So he had a personal vendetta against him. So that shows that there was an issue. But Candace got her little Kundis ass out there caping for Chauvin, making all these excuses and trying to demonize Floyd. And that's just one example. But again, there's other reasons I got a problem with Kundis, but I'm not going to go into that now. But because people might be thinking, well, you keep using their clips. What you got? Well, why you got a problem with Kundis? I just broke it down. I mean, if you want to know how deep it goes, we did a whole broadcast about her when she got kicked off the Daily Wire. But anyway, let's get some more.
Future for their children, as they all say on stage, I'm just so worried about the future for my children, actually spoke out for money. And one such person is Megan Thee Stallion, okay? One half of the WAP duo with Cardi B. She came out, she was one of the first people to perform for Kamala Harris, and she was reportedly paid $5 million.
You know what, Cortez, that's funny, but she seemed like the type to be into that type of weird, freaky role play. I bet she does some of that plantation stuff with her husband. I would not be shocked. Let's go.
For this.
And to be honest, I do some of that, play with her too. I'll have her be the bad wench, but that's just me. Let's go.
In support of the Democratic Party, which leads me to ask the question, why? Because let's not forget, okay, when Joe Biden barely ran, just like Kamala Harris, because he hid during COVID and said, oh, I can't come out and do any interviews, but I am going to come out and make time for Cardi B to ask me the hard-hitting questions. Do you guys?
Oh, yeah, D, you didn't know that, right? Yeah, because you have to dig and do research, because that's what I like to do. Because when I heard that whole thing happening, I was like, man, what is this really about, right? And yeah, look it up. And that's why, I'm glad you guys tune in and roll with the Night Riders, because you do learn over here. But yeah, D, that was a big part of it, and they buried that story. Derek Chauvin and George Floyd knew each other prior to that. They both were bouncers, and Floyd was actually in a higher position than him. And I think they both wanted to be cops, actually. But Floyd was unable to get in there for whatever reason. Maybe the most obvious reason, but Chauvin was able to become a cop because they, like I said, they were both bouncers, and I think Floyd was over him at one point, and I think Chauvin had a beef with him. He knew who he was when he did that, but they really buried that story, just like they buried the fact that alleged $20 bill that he had that was supposed to be this counterfeit that just magically disappeared, because that was the whole reason why they got called allegedly anyway, because he was supposed to be in that liquor store. I think when the riots happened and all that they actually burned that store down or whatever. But that store where he allegedly flashed the fake 20, that never came back up. So they didn't say whether or not that 20 was even really fake or not. It just kind of disappeared from the story. So yeah, it's a lot of foolery that went on with that thing. But again, Candace Owens, she was instrumental in shifting the blame and projecting away from the actual culprit and trying to demonize Floyd. And she gladly did that and took that check. And that's why I got a problem. One of the reasons why I got a problem with her. But let's go.
Remember what he told her he was going to do as president? No, you have to remember, Kamala Harris is his VP. So she is hearing his answers for what will happen if she moves Black women to vote for him. This is Cardi B interviewing Joe Biden in 2020.
I, of course, want free Medicare. And this is why it's important to have free Medicare.
And I know y'all remember that shit show. Oh, Joe, he ain't had time for no respectable journalists, but they'll interview her. And these women that are voting for that, they think that's acceptable. That this half illiterate broad right here, and I gotta be honest, when I first saw Cardi B, I literally thought it was a Saturday Night Live skit. I saw some type of clip with her doing one of her goofy ass songs. I was like, this got to be a skit. I'm like, what is this? And to this day, I have not watched really, I think to the completion, any one of her like videos or listened to any one of her songs. I'm like, she's just completely ignorant. But yeah, but this is the type of individual that that they like to cohort around with. But let's go.
Medicare, because look what's happening right now. You see why we should have been have free Medicare for a long time. I of course think that we need free college education.
We're gonna have, if I get elected president, free college education for 4 years of college, flat out.
Yeah, Iman, they have not mentioned that. They even to this day they have not mentioned that. They have not mentioned that to this day. Wait a minute. Did somebody say to this day? You know, I haven't did this in a while, but to this day they have not mentioned that. To this day. Yeah, so that 20 just magically disappeared. You know, it's pretty interesting.
Anybody with a family less than 125 grand, you're going to get free education. Everybody gets free education for community college.
Yes, you do kind of look like one right there.
Listen, Cardi, if you go and tell Black people who I just think are stupid but like your music, whatever, what is it you sing? Bodak, yellow, Bodak, whatever it is. You go out there, find Black people that like your music, tell them to vote, and tell them they're going to get free stuff. That's all you Black people like, right? Free stuff? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so D, were you saying who are you saying we're lying? You talking about that Cardi chick? Yeah, because we do over here we do have a way to determine if something's a lie or not.
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
Yeah, we do got the lie detector over here. So let's go.
The lie detector determined
get free.
That was a lie.
Downloads on Apple. You're going to get free college. You're going to get free Medicaid. Free. She nods along and she.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Determined that was a lie.
Endorses him, and maybe she believes.
Yeah, that was a lie because he said it was going to be free. Yeah, but again, look who he's talking to.
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
of course, they don't care about lying to the likes of her because and she got and what Candace right here is pointing out is that she's the same one that got back out there for free and still endorsed Kamala, even after they lied to her face. Biden lied to her face, but she still kept her monkey ass out there, caping for him, and didn't even get paid. Didn't even get paid for it. Talking about she believed everything that Kamala said. But them the type of jackasses that they'll parade as the representative for black women, and they sit back and allow it. But let's go.
He did in 2020. So how do you justify her being able to look back on the interview that she gave to receive lies from the campaign of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and then to get right back up on stage and to say, and I quote, she said this when she endorsed Kamala, "I believe every word that comes out of her mouth," Cardi B said. I believe.
Yep, she did say that when she got on stage. Remember when she was up there, the teleprompter went out, and she was up there fumbling and bumbling around, and then somebody had to bring her a phone. I think that's when she gave that BS speech, and I think she said that then up there. So yeah, after they had lied to her face, but yeah, she still believed everything that came out their mouth.
Believe every word that comes out of Kamala Harris's mouth. Kamala Harris, a person who can't even tell the truth about who her frickin' grandma is in her book, Cardi B believes every single word. So what is the true reason?
And apparently you can extrapolate that to the larger black women community, although Cardi, I don't believe, is black. But it's amazing that for those women who are voting for her in such large numbers, they must obviously believe the same things too, which is amazing.
That these campaigns go out and they reach out to her again because they view her to be a useful idiot. That's the reality. And even greater useful idiot if she's willing to do it for free. I mean, she's saying I did it for free, and she's saying that as, hey, I'm not a fraud, I actually did this. That's even more embarrassing. At least Beyonce knew if I'm going to go ahead and do this, she was smart enough as a businesswoman to know that I'm going to get paid. I'm going to get $10 million if I have to come out here. I'm not going to,
Now that shows you that was just all some BS, and that's one of the reasons why Kamala's campaign started out with $1 billion, and she ended up in the hole by 20 million because they were spending all those millions of dollars on the likes of Beyonce, who hit their pockets for 10 million for 4 minutes of work. Crazy. But at least she got paid more than Cardi did.
I'm not going to act like a monkey in your circus. You're going to have to pay me $10 million, and she got it allegedly for $55,000 a second. I just feel like it's really time for Black Americans to wake up to this nonsense. I'm so sick of it. I mean, Malcolm X was exactly right when he said that the media is the most powerful entity on earth. It will quite literally have you hating the people that you should be supporting and supporting the people that you should be hating. And there's no greater proof of that than when you look at the metrics of how Black women are voting in this country. When you look at the embarrassment of the fact that they do the exact same thing every 4 years. They don't even try to switch it up.
You see how she's going in on them, but who is she identifying? So by virtue of what Candace right here is saying, then every time you look at these hellhole of cities that are democratically run, and you look at how they keep getting in power year after year, decade after decade, and everything is continuously going down. So what is Candace saying right there? She's saying essentially that they are the reason for the destruction of the community, because they are the ones who are not only voting in these high percentages, but they are strong arming and raising up these simp boys that grow up into these soft ass men who are the ones who voted in that 80%. So not only are they corrupted, they are also corrupting the youth, because again, they are the ones that are raising these boys. They are the ones that are doing it. So they are sacrificing themselves and their sons at the altar of these democrats, and that's the reason why the thing has gotten so out of control. And like she just said right there, I'm gonna run that back. She's talking about how stupid they are, and they're just doing the same thing over and over. Let's go. I'm gonna play this again.
At least Beyonce knew if I'm going to go ahead and do this, she was smart enough as a businesswoman to know that I'm going to get paid. I'm going to get $10 million if I have to come out here. I'm not going to, I'm not going to act like a monkey in your circus. You're going to have to pay me $10 million. And she got it allegedly for $55,000 a second. I just feel like it's really time for Black Americans to wake up to this nonsense. I'm so sick of it. I mean, Malcolm X was exactly right when he said that the media is the most powerful entity on earth. It will quite literally have you hating the people that you should be supporting and supporting the people that you should be hating. And there's no greater proof of that than when you look at the metrics of how Black women are voting in this country. When you look at the embarrassment of the fact that they do the exact same thing every 4 years. They don't even try to switch it up. They're even getting the same people after they lied to their faces. They lied to your face, Cardi. Do you not have just a modicum of self-respect to say, hey, you lied to my face for...
She made a song called WAP, for goodness sake. Of course she doesn't have a modicum of self-respect. What are you talking about, Candace?
Years ago. And so, no, I'm not going to jump on stage and support you again.
And it was Black women that made that song a hit, right? You ever think about what these women's greatest hits are gonna look like? You know, when they get old. You remember, you know how you get these, like our grandmother's generation, they got those classic songs. You know, they got the BB Kings and the, you know, James Brown and, you know, all those good classic musicians that they play at their you know, little elderly parties. When these women get old and worn out, and when that WAP is no longer whopping, it's gonna be funny looking at them sitting around playing all these old twerking bullshit whorish ass songs, right? Like you see them in their little canes and walkers in the old folks' home playing their old hits. It's gonna be hilarious. But let's go.
Is the answer to that really no? So, you know, I really do want to say that I am just so upset when I see Black Americans still falling for this same game, seeing women falling for this same game in particular. And then you look at Kamala campaign's spending report and it just looks completely fraudulent.
Yep. Again, Israel, we do these broadcasts and we break this down surgically and we dissect it because this is the home of the dissections. We do that just to kind of reinforce our decisions. I mean, we've already made our decisions. But again, we're just in the imperial skybox looking at the proceedings and giving our analysis. We already know what it is. We're not emotionally invested. You know, we just are surgically breaking this down. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Let's go.
Allegedly spent $100 million on marketing firms. Okay. She spent $15 million on event production, $4 million on private jets, which is incredible. 107 days of campaigning, $4 million on private jets to go where? To go where? All of it to me is just the most ridiculous. When I just see it, it's such an insult. It is such an insult to their voters, and yet many of their voters still can't see it. Maybe in the future they will. Obviously, we're starting to see that Black men are breaking away from this, but Black women still seem to be in this stranglehold.
Okay, so she said it right there. Everything that Candace is saying is underscoring and proving everything that we say. That's why I wanted to talk about this, because it's one thing for us to say it. And even when we bring out data, even when we go back in history and talk about, you know, who actually were the ones who were the handmaidens and the right hand women and the, you know, the ones who helped this whole diabolical scheme unfold. We can bring out all of this. It's one thing for us to say it, but it's another thing for a fellow Black woman like her to be saying the same thing. Because when she's pointing this out, that's essentially what she's talking about. She's talking about how these women are the ones, by and large, that are supporting this same party. And like I said, I'm taking it a step further to say that even though, you know, the men are breaking away more, it's still a majority of the men that voted, allegedly, that still voted for her. But if you look at the backgrounds of those particular men, who raised them, who influenced them, who's putting the strong arm tactics on them to make sure that they stay on the plantation, it's still them. Now, there are debaters in the Sims that been to it, but who is the one applying the pressure? Who was the one demonizing? You know, we just showed the clips earlier about the women and how they were going in before they knew that the men were actually voting more in lockstep with them. They were still pressuring and trying to shame them and blame them. So who is still the ones responsible, whether directly or indirectly? But let's go.
culture seems to have them, and they really do believe that they're so intellectual, and racism is around every single corner.
He said Ku Klux Keisha. Yeah, exactly. And you know what, Israel? And this is going to be a little shocking, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. I think they could be worse, bro. I ain't even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna hold you. I think they worse than the Ku Klux, man. And the reason for that is look at the damage, bro. They could have the Ku Klux Klan could only dream of doing the damage that they've done. They could only dream of it, bro. With the deletions alone, bro, they could not in their wildest dreams think of getting rid of that many black children than them. I mean, if we're just talking about raw numbers, bro. I know that's controversial, but I had to say it because when you look at the data, yeah, and like Dee said, the proximity, yeah, that's the reason, and just the fact that how much damage has been caused over the years, it's really crazy. Look at Shadow, white suprema Keisha, yeah, exactly. He said, of course they are worse because of proximity. Yeah, I would say proximity and intentions, because their intentions, and this is for the ones to whom it apply, which unfortunately is the majority. We do like to make some distinctions, although they make no distinctions when it comes to you. But the reason why I do is because I like to be surgical, and I like to be, as a righteous man, I like to call things what they are. And it's an overwhelming majority of them. But yeah, I mean, their intention was to create the hellhole that you have, and for them to continuously vote the way they are, in spite of the fact that simultaneously as they're doing this, black people are going further and further down the road to destruction. That shows you right there what their intention is. So again, I have to stand by my statement that they may very well be worse in terms of damage than the actual KKK. But let's go.
And the frauds and the sellouts are people like me. When you're quite literally spending your money to go see in concert every single one of these frauds and sellouts. In fact, you have been so trained that you call these sellouts kings and queens. That's embarrassing. Honestly, change something about yourself. Stop calling these people kings and queens. Have some basic self-respect. Genuinely, that is all that I want to say on that topic. Should also add to the fact that even the NAACP received $500,000. It's $500,000 donation is what Al Sharpton received. So yeah, the NAACP has our back.
Yeah, but you notice that she's running down the numbers, and she's showing all these different organizations and individuals who are supposed to be working in the best interests of their constituency and advocating for things for them, but they're just lining their pockets. And who is condoning this? The B-Dub. They're the ones that see all of this that's going on, whether it's these fake ass pastors and preachers who are robbing the community with these fake doctrines. Everything that you see that's going on, everything that men like us speak out against, that's what they're supporting. That's what they, to the tune of 90 something percent, that's what they're spending their money on. That's what they're supporting. That's diametrically opposed to our belief systems. And then they wonder why we got our damn passports, or that we ain't messing with them the way they think we should be. Yeah, because you don't reflect our values. You don't reflect anything that we believe in. So why would we try to wife you up? And for damn sure, why would we want to put our children in your rather toxic womb? I don't think so.
I'm with her. Oh, Beyonce, I love her. All of them are frauds. All of them are sellouts. And those people are the true grifters. Now, obviously, I'm about to lose my life. So let me at least support a company and an organization that.
Yeah. So I think that's it for Okunis there. But yeah, I think she did a pretty good job of breaking down the situation and basically echoing what we say over here. And it just goes to show you the fact that even at this late date, they're still supporting and basically becoming the enforcement arm with their actions and how they're trying to demonize men and strong arm and twist the arms of the betas that they could control to try to still stay on that plantation. That's amazing that they would still be doing that. But yeah, let's get some more. Our next clip is this particular lady right here, and some of you may have seen her around, because I have, and she was actually somebody that was adjacent to the manosphere, and when I used to do, work over there, because like I said, I was never really part of the manosphere, but I would appear on certain panels and so forth. And this particular lady right here, she was the object of some controversy, but in this particular point, I think she's going to be correct, and we're going to dissect a few things that she's going to say. Some of you might recognize this woman right here.
Peace and love, family. It's your girl, Six the God.
Yeah, we'll give her a little intro because she likes to call herself a goddess, and we have our little issues with that. But she's going to really break down some things that I think are important, and we're going to get into it. So let's go.
More than ever, how much Black women would prefer to harvest their adoration and attention through victimhood and guilt. Okay. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. We're going to get into a few things. Some of these reactions from these election results have just truly shown me how propaganda really works. It's shown me how the human mind, more importantly, the woman's mind, is easily manipulated. You can manipulate the woman's mind outside of what she knows to be reality. You can rewire a woman's lived experience.
And Cortez say hello, this be. Yeah, she's controversial, and for those of you who know, and I've been on panels where she was the object of discussion, and I got my issues with her, but for the purposes of this particular point, I think she's going to make some points that you guys need to hear. It came across my feed. I'm not subscribed to her, but I saw that she was speaking on this particular subject, and we kind of took a look at some of the things she had to say. I don't think we watched the whole video, but I think a good part of the beginning of what she was saying, I think she's going to bring out some good points we need to address. But yeah, she has some pretty interesting history on these internet streets, to say the least. But let's get it. I think she actually used to kick it with KS too. All right, I think she used to rock. I think she was his old lady at one point. I think they didn't work out too tough, but I think she was actually going with Kevin Samuels for a while. But let's go.
With enough propaganda. So I'm going to go ahead and get into a few things. I have a few things I want to show you all. But before we get into that, can we get in today's look? Ladies, is this look today, is it giving for you or not? Now, if you've been under a rock, okay.
Yeah, we're going to skip a little advert, but let's get to the point here.
Over this overly dramatic response, as though now somehow somebody is coming to like rip your infants from your arms. And I wish I was exaggerating, but I saw this commercial. I'm sorry, I'm literally trying not to laugh already. I saw this commercial on YouTube and I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I couldn't believe this was happening. And I want to share it with you all because it goes to show how they put that kind of emotional hit on the ladies to pretty much scare them into voting for Kamala. Please look at this dramatic commercial. This is just a small clip, but this is.
Israel said, "We ready to fall off." Yeah, she actually looks better when she wears her natural hair. I've seen her couple of times with her natural fro, and she actually looks a lot better when she wears her natural hair. But you know how these women are, you can't tell them nothing. Even the ones who are quote conscious and that will wear their natural hairstyles, they're still gonna either throw on a wig or weave or what have you. But let's get it. Cortez is here snapping. He said, "I don't get the hype of a lot of guys. Hyper looks up. She looks weathered, in my opinion." He said, "Even her voice is nasty." Man, that's funny. Well, depending on the situation, that's not a bad thing. And that's the way of giving a woman a compliment. He said she's not unattractive. He didn't say she was attractive. He said she's not unattractive. Now, coming from D, that's a compliment. But let's get it.
The type of stuff that was going on and why women are reacting with the tears and fears of a handmaid's tale future going forward. Y'all, please look at this.
I still can't believe this beautiful girl is ours.
Our little IVF miracle.
Sorry, she's not yours anymore.
What are you talking about? Who are you?
I'm your Republican congressman. We made IVF illegal, and we're not letting you criminals raise her.
Joe Jacobs.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my, I literally.
But she showed that clip, and in that video, that's the type of scare tactics that ridiculous video, like some Republicans going to show up and take people's kids. That's the level of foolery that they were promoting as far as the advertisements. And she's tripping on how a lot of these women were so gullible as to fall for that. But let's get it.
I don't have the words. I'm like, why are y'all crying? Why are y'all talking about you're so depressed and how will you go on? You really sat there and let these people scare you with this insanely dramatic, just ridiculous levels of propaganda to where now y'all are convinced that there will be some big, bad, mean white man coming to grab your children out of your womb as you're giving birth or snatching your in vitro babies from your bosom. Like, come on. It's almost as though you're just experiencing a memory loss. That you survived 4 years of this man's presidency just fine. And then everyone's like, well, it's different now because now the whole house is Republican. Now it's different. And you have let these people convince you that the big, mean, white Republican man is coming to snatch your children, is coming to have you perish away from baby deletions. And I'm just like, wow. You know, so that's all you have to do. And, you know, this election, I had a previous video where I kind of talked about, you know, my thoughts on this election and why Kamala could be set to actually win, considering that we are in the era of end the patriarchy, choose the bear. You know, so we kind of talked a bit about. So sorry, my battery was dying. So we kind of talked a bit about how the main point being pushed in this election is if Trump gets in office, you won't be able to delete your babies. And what this has shown me is that.
But I'd say that, you know, let's say you guys are correct. The fact that even she is speaking out against the sisterhood, how wicked does that make the sisterhood? That's what I want to know, because even a woman like her with her past that seems to kind of be trying to get away from it, even she can see the level of fuckery that's been going on with these women, and she's calling it out. And that's the reason why I'm breaking it down, because this pretty much further exemplifies what we say. We can just sit back and let this thing be on autopilot and let them condemn each other, because that's basically what they're doing. But let's go.
That is how female psychopaths manifest themselves. They may not be in and out of jail. They may not be serial, you know, power. But to me, it manifests itself in being okay with continually ripping life from your body. I literally saw women saying, oh.
And she's actually pro-life. So she's talking about how those women are pretty much voting primarily or even exclusively for the ability to, as she framed it, rip life from their body. So that's crazy that even her can see the demonic nature of what these women were actually voting for, and that they, in such wide margins and such huge numbers, were supporting it. So that's what's so crazy. But let's go.
My God, now that Kamala lost, y'all better be real careful. Y'all better not get pregnant. If y'all get pregnant, y'all better be safe now. And I am so amazed that it took a certain someone becoming president for women to be like, we better be responsible and not get pregnant because now we can't delete these children if we do. That is insane.
That's actually a crazy point right there, because it's ironic that it took this Trump scare to get these whores to finally close their legs and start being responsible. Isn't that amazing? So, you know, for all the talk that they're having about their, body, their choice, and all of that, at the moment they see that they can't be the whores that they're used to being in their own mind, then all of a sudden they know how to be responsible women now. It's amazing. But let's get it.
My brain, as a woman myself, I'll be the first to tell you, it is not that hard to not get pregnant. I don't understand when you're admitting that now you must actually be responsible for your body because you won't be able to be 5 months pregnant, knowing the sex of your baby, knowing if the baby is named Bobby or Tina, and you won't be able to rip this life from your womb. Because as of right now, what Trump is saying is, listen, it will be up to each state as to what the rules are for baby deletions, but it won't be federally mandated. That's all he's saying. All he's saying is, no, you cannot.
Yeah, and that's another good point. These women are so idiotic, they don't even realize what his actual stance is. And with his, I'm speaking of Trump, like she said, he's really just trying to put it into the power of the states. He don't think it should be a federal issue. And I think most people would agree with that, except obviously the B-Dub. They just hear the idea that they have to stop being a whore for 5 minutes, and all of a sudden it sends them into a tizzy. But let's go.
Be 6 months pregnant and rip your child from your womb. I don't see the problem. When he was president before, he did not wake up and be like, oh my God, I am president now. And guess what? Y'all ain't getting another baby deletion on my watch. That wasn't the case. I agree with
Cortez. What is that? You said the ovulation conversations?
Yes, there should be a limit on how far along you can be before you can rip this child from your womb. I'm sorry. That is me as a woman. Me as a woman in my life, I have had one pregnancy with one healthy child to show for it. So I cannot be gaslit by these women who act as though pregnancy is this accidental thing. What Trump's victory represents is the betterment of family structures. Families flourish in Republican governments. The Democratic Party promotes the whole idea of homosexuality, singleness, promiscuity, doing with your body what you want, individuality. That's what the Democratic Party, they like to promote, because that's what keeps people dependent on you. That's what keeps people easy to manipulate. Okay, it discourages the strong heterosexual family structure, and that's the real reason why so many people, mostly Black women, since Black women unfortunately are notoriously uncoupled, that's the real fear is, man, under a Republican government, it is set up for the natural family to flourish. It is not set up for individualistic, promiscuous lifestyles, because no, you will not be able to be out there spreading it wide. And then if and when the consequences from that happen, you're just like, I'm going and I'm just going to rip this child from my womb, be back. I've seen women have 6, 7, 8, 9 baby deletions. And I'm like, at what point do you get deemed a serial?
Yeah. So that's the thing, though. A lot of these women with all these different Baskin Robbins 31 flavors of contraception, they're using deletion, which should be only in the case of emergencies or last resorts. They're using it like a form of birth control, and it's really sick. And it's unfortunate that so many of these women have over the years had free reign to do this, because I think the estimate is upwards of 20 million Black children have been deleted since the 1970s, which is insane. which kind of underscores my point earlier that they may very well be worse than the KKK. But let's go.
You're no better than a Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy. You're no better. I'm sorry. And at the very least, their victims were adults that even had the potential to defend themselves. Okay. But we don't want to talk about that, though. So now I'm going to show you all some of the reactions specifically from Black women and why it is so ridiculous. Because let me get this straight. Okay. As opposed to Black women getting their attention and their adoration from being smart, pleasant, from having a man, from having husbands, from having families, from their children, from their connections to their community, from their nurturing abilities, from their womanly abilities, from their domestic skills, from their in-shape bodies, from a nice smile, as opposed to receiving attention and adoration from that element. Instead, we want to get attention from people feeling bad for us. Every time I turn around, it's a sister doing a think piece on TikTok, telling us 21 questions and 21 words about why we should feel bad for her and how things are so hard for her. And my question is, at what point do you get tired of trying to manipulate attention and validation in that way? And when do you want to do it the right way? And it never ends, because now you got sisters who decided, you know what? We're going to claim Camel as a Black woman, okay? Even though she never asked to be here, even though she's not a Black woman, was not raised by a Black woman, has no Black people in her family, has made her fortune off the backs of putting Black people away, her family.
Yeah, so again, those are the same type of points we bring out. I'm just letting them make that same case, among the Black female population. And at this point, it's kind of like an internal conflict ideologically between them, because a lot of Black women like her, who are trying to get off the sisterhood plantation, they're pointing out some of these same things and they get attacked as well. So it's kind of interesting how these women, they're always advocating for protecting women and so forth, but they demonize and attack women like her and others who speak out against them with the ferocity that is unique to them, and we don't even go after and attack them the way that they attack each other. But let's get it.
Having indentured servants and slaves, she has literally made it to the top off the backs of Black people. Black women are notoriously going around speaking on how she's an AKA, not understanding how people of color politics work. And women will always go where they're adored or where they're preferred. And Kamala deciding that I'll go around the Black people because I know they'll accept me and pedestalize me in the way that white people won't is no flex.
She actually makes a good point there. And that's the reason why, or one of the reasons why I came up with the 80% 2x4 rule, is because what Negroes like to do is bestow Blackness on people like Kamala. And like she said, Kamala couldn't even get that type of treatment even if she stayed around her own people, whoever the hell they are, Indians or Irish people, I don't know. But particularly these Black women, when she went to Howard and she joined the AKAs and so forth, they were the ones that gave her that Black card to begin with. And then they put her on this pedestal. So of course she's going to do that grifting thing. And we broke it down last week in the broadcast about the racial fluidity. And what I pointed out was, yeah, it does work to a point as long as Negroes are ignorant enough to allow it to happen. But as more and more people wake up to the fact of what's actually been going on, and then you start using standards like the 80% 2x4 rule as opposed to the 1-drop rule, then it becomes increasingly harder for them to grift like that. But she makes a very good point in that these people that grift in the Black community, they would be at the bottom of the barrel in whatever respective communities they come from. So particularly the women, just like the one we saw earlier, who you guys were going in on, that was giving that apology. She's probably not Black either, but just say if she's part of some other group, she wouldn't get the same type of accolades that she probably gets around self-hating Negroes. But let's go.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but the whole, oh, I'm an AKA and so is Kamala, and the whole Divine Nine wanting to claim her is not the flex you think it is, because she was only there because around y'all, she'll be put at the top of the totem pole. And had she chosen the PWI route, she would have been at the bottom there. So she simply went to where she could be pedestalized and get ahead faster. And somehow they think that's a flex. Somehow they think that they're doing something. All right. So I'm going to show you all the Black women tiers in which they have recruited this non-Black woman as Black who didn't ask to be Black, and then somehow decided that since she didn't win, that now that means that Black women can't achieve their dreams and that society is against them. Never mind the fact that this woman is a stranger, that we don't know this woman, that she has some type of socially awkward disorder. Never mind that. Never mind that she is a chameleon. Never mind that we don't even know who this woman is. Never mind that. Never mind the fact that she's not American. Never mind.
Now listen, as she runs this down about all of the question marks that Kamala has, notice how none of this is needed to be vetted, and how Black women are so open, and how they expose the larger community with their endorsements and everything to these type of individuals. That their vetting is piss poor. They're very much incompetent when it comes to vetting. And that's one thing that masculine men are supposed to do, and that we do very well, is vet. And it kind of brings me to a story that came across my desk that I think if I wasn't going to do this topic, I would have done that one. It was this woman that I recently found out about. I think she's actually an exotical. She made a video talking about, because her channel was geared toward telling women how to level up and find a husband, even though she's a single mom. And she was pretty much promoting the idea of women becoming trophy wives, marrying up, getting successful men, even though she's a single mom. Now, as it turns out, the man that she chose was doing things to her daughter, to put it bluntly. I'm not sure if I could use the actual word, but you know what I mean. So she made this video, and we got it. And I think that we might do that story next week. It's really tragic, but it just goes to show you how these women, they delude themselves into thinking that as single moms that they can still get the top type of dude, when in reality, a lot of these degenerates that they find that they get with, who don't mind that they're multiple times baby moms, they may have another agenda. And that's not to excuse the behavior of these creeps, but these women, because they don't have discernment, they open up themselves and their children to threats. Because she couldn't work it out with her baby daddy, she got herself back on the market, and that made her look like food to these predators. And to my larger point, when it comes to the Black female population, they pretty much open up the community to all these type of grifters and would-be scammers or scamalas, and they don't have the proper mentality or critical thinking skills to be able to filter these people out. And that's what she's running down right here, about all of these issues or these questions that should have been asked about Kamala before she came around trying to get people to co-sign her. They didn't do any of that vetting. All someone had to do was dangle in front of them the ability to keep deleting their children, and just, her being an AKA or whatever, and now all of a sudden they're on the plantation again. So it's crazy. Or they never left the plantation, but they just, here going stomping for Kamala. But let's go.
The fact that her parents on both sides are not generationally invested in this country, and she is a woman who could easily leave here and has family on mom and dad's side in other countries, where she could leave here and say peace and be totally fine with a full family structure somewhere else. Never mind all that. Never mind that she was sleeping with other people's husbands until age 50, where she had to get married because the society was saying, hey, you're 50 years old, you're half a century, why you ain't married? If you want to advance your career any further, we're going to need to see a husband. And which the first thing she did was run out and get a white man to be stepmom to his white kids. Okay. And somehow Black women have forced themselves into this space. And I'm like, y'all do know that while you're so thirsty to claim her as one of ours, while you're so thirsty to feel as though she's, you know, one voice, one sound with us, you do know that with a Black woman president, baby, if you thought that you were unprotected now, okay, if you thought that people that care about you now, I don't think Black women understand how much worse that was going to get when now people could say, well, aren't y'all good? Don't y'all know it all? Ain't y'all the president? And it's like, it's a form of self-sabotage.
Now, she actually makes a good point there, because that's actually what they did with Obama. If y'all recall, under Obama, there was more things taken from Black people. Black people's wealth was, I think, decimated. You know, a lot of the housing they lost during the crisis of 2008. I know because I had a front seat on that. And because I was in the financial industry at the time, and, you know, I was protected because I understood what was going on, and I was able to, you know, protect myself. But I saw, and I was actually able to even help some other people through that. But I remember seeing how many people were losing. And on top of that, if you look at a lot of brutality and stuff and deletions that were going on at the end of the enforcement arms of the system, it all went up. So they used Obama as a Trojan horse to kind of install all these different things. So to her point, even if they're so short-sighted, even if they got her in there, once everything would have went wrong, they would have been putting that on them. You understand? So that's what they're so short-sighted, and they were so quick to endorse her for their ego or whatever, even though she doesn't even really represent them. And as soon as she got in there, she would have become the first Indian president. You know what I mean? So that's the other part that's stupid. But, you know, again, what she's saying will require critical thinking skills, of which they don't have. But let's go.
Complain about how you're not protected. You complain about how nobody helps you with anything, yet you go and recruit problems that ain't got nothing to do with you. And now somehow this stranger Indian woman losing now means that you as a Black woman, that you'll never achieve your dreams. I saw women crying on Instagram with Beyonce playing in the background, saying that they feel they should just give up because Kamala lost. So now they feel like they won't be able to achieve their dreams. And the crying with Beyonce in the background was just the nail in the coffin to me. This is a democratic society. People can vote for who they want. During this election,
apparently Black men can't, because as soon as they got any type of indication that they were deviating from the plantation, then all of a sudden they were quick to throw them under the bus. So apparently, you know, you guys don't have the right to vote, at least not for who you want.
In my opinion, was a pow to your head election where you know, people like, hey, we got to pick. And if we got to pick, no, we're not picking Kamala representing, worried about, you know, trans people and whether or not they have their hormones when a block of cheese is $8 at Publix. We don't care. All right. Kamala tried to lead with the whole, promiscuously free lifestyle, and you can't tell me what to do with our bodies, and, you know, sex changes for little kids. And that's where she went wrong. Society is failing right now. Even people who are doing well are not doing well right now. It's very difficult. And when people's basic needs are not being met, when this economy has been the most difficult to navigate than any period I've ever experienced in my life, no one was concerned with her liberal, oh my God, save the environment.
Don't forget to hit that like button, guys. I don't normally say that, but yeah, we want to start emphasizing that, but let's get it.
Save the trans kids. I'm sorry, but that just was not the focus. The focus was, can we afford groceries? You know what I'm saying? Can we start there? Can we make housing affordable? Can we make these interest rates affordable? And then showing us these charts with these numbers, like, see, the economy is doing great. I'll kick that chart with that damn chart. We looking at what it is. And
That was funny you talking about that chart, but you know, Cortez, I agree with that. I think that there is ulterior motives with this. You know, I'm sure there's more to it than there's more than meets the eye to that whole thing. But let's go.
in real life right now, we don't care about the chart, baby. And so people did common sense and said, you know what? If the country is now currently blue, you know, we are in the worst position we ever been in. It's time to do something different. And somehow people were demonized for that, which defeats the whole purpose of a democracy for people to have the right to choose. But all of a sudden, if you didn't choose Kamala, it was, oh my God, you know, you hate Black women, which is how we got to the Black women tears here that we're about to show now. Now, I saw this, and this sent me, this to me summed up the type of women that wanted to vote Kamala, because most women.
So who is Big Mike? Is it going to light that you're coming for his wife? Is she Big Mike's wife? I don't know who Big Mike is, but
who are attractive and have a man or can get a man in their life was going to go the Trump route, because they understood, since he is more feared and respected amongst men, that, honey, you're going to be safer. Okay, baby, I don't care about all that extra stuff, baby. I need an America first type of guy. Okay, we need the alpha male type of guy who knows how to be like, I'm doing what's best for my folks, and I don't care who got a problem with it. We need this to be from the type of guy that other men shake his hand, look him in the eye, and he has rapport with. That's what we need. Okay, no, we do.
Oh, okay. All right, Shadow.
Not want to have to roll up our sleeves and have to save the world. We don't want to do that. We have nail appointments. We got to do our hair. All right. We need to fix our lip gloss. All right. Put the big man, the big 6'6" man in there and call it a day. Kamala represented the women who were just so desperate to have a stick it to the man moment. And so, just so you know, American ladies, the women of the world want y'all to know that y'all are not alone. All right. Now, the minute I see women that look like this, I don't want anything to do with anything they are doing. You know what I'm saying? Once I see women.
Now, she got a point there, because look at these hard-faced bras right here. But check it out.
Women that look like this, baby, I don't, anything y'all was finna help me with, I'm good. Okay? If this is how I'm gonna end up thinking like y'all and what y'all want, I'm good. All right?
I think she's talking about Trump. I'm not sure how tall Trump is. I thought he was just maybe like 6'2" or something. I don't know. I didn't think Trump was that tall. I think she might be talking about Trump.
And not a single one of these women, I don't get no sexy vibes. This scares me. Okay. When I go to sleep, if you want to see me have nightmares, put me around a bunch of women like this. Big, mean, ugly women with flaccid pantsuits on.
Yeah, that is somebody's wet dream. Some beta male simp is probably loving that. But those of us who are real men, yeah, that's kind of disgusting. But let's go.
No, I will wake up in a cold sweat. I don't see a leg. I don't see a cleavage. I don't see a smile. I don't see a lip gloss. I don't see no man. All these women look like they work hard. Hell no. Oh no, baby. You ain't got to worry about me, honey. Trump 2025. Okay. Y'all give me the vibes of get a job. You don't need no man. A woman can be president vibes. Hell no, baby. Okay. So a good way is a.
Yeah, I think she was talking about maybe in general when she said 6'6", but I got her point, you know, because Trump is still over 6 feet. But that was her point. She would rather see that in the White House, you know, because that projects power. And, you know, like somebody was pointing out, even, you know, with just the sheer idea of him getting back in office, all of a sudden a lot of these world leaders are willing to work some things out, get to the negotiating table. So that shows you the difference right there. But let's get it.
Woman, if you want to see if you should follow another woman in a certain direction, look at the other women already there. Okay. I don't want no parts of anything y'all got going on. Every single last one of y'all look like y'all work full time. And every single last one of y'all look like men would just be flaccid and would run away from every single last one of y'all. Okay. So bad bitches voted Trump. Okay. Now I don't vote. Let me also say I don't vote. I'm indifferent. But if I had a pow to my head and I had to choose, I would 100% choose Trump. I don't vote because I was raised Jehovah's Witness and we just never believed in voting. And my brain is just too revolutionary at this point to where I'm not about to start now. It just was never a thing for me growing up. So I just did not make it a thing for myself now. But if I had to choose, honey, Trump 2025 and a story. Okay. So I'm seeing the difference. You know what I'm saying? I feel like women more in their femininity, they know how to stay on code regardless of their emotions. They're not going to be so desperate for a stick it to the man moment to where we'll make things harder on ourselves or put ourselves in danger. Okay. And mostly the white women voted Trump because most of their man did. Most of the white women with a man or a father in their life, you know, they voted Trump. You're always supposed to vote how you.
Yeah, she's making a good point as far as like the women, how they put these bras like that you see on the screen out front as the damn battering rams. Meanwhile, they fall back in their femininity supporting their man, and they put them out there to be the bulldogs and push their little agendas, and they fall back and vote for the patriarchy. It's really crazy how these women keep getting played, but you know, we're just here to point it out. Let's get it.
Your man votes most of the time. Okay, so you know, most men, you know, it just would not be respectable to have a female president. I don't care. I don't even.
Cortez be going in. He said the Cynthia G cadence in her voice. You know, I don't think she's as bad as Sin G. I mean, I haven't heard her say some of the things that Sin G has said. That's the reason why I can kind of tolerate, because I don't think I could tolerate listening to Cynthia G this long. But you know, because I'm kind of letting her rock out because it's kind of proving my point. But unless I'm dissecting Cynthia G every, you know, other sentence, you know, but I'm kind of letting her say her piece because she is making sense. But again, we're just showing that a lot of these women, even they are siding with the things that we're saying in terms of just exposing the foolery that a lot of their female counterparts are doing. So, you know, for the purposes of proving our points, that's why we're doing this. But let's get it.
Go to a church that has a female pastor. I don't. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. I'm old school. Like I said, I was raised Jehovah's Witness. The way I was raised, I never saw no woman get on that podium and preach to the congregation.
Okay, so she said she was raised Jehovah's Witness, and so that's one of the reasons why she said she never saw women get on no podium and preaching and all that, which I guess that upbringing, and I don't agree with the Jehovah's Witness belief system, but she pretty much is showing how foundationally the difference it makes if a woman grows up with a certain belief system, because they're more able to see themselves under the authority of a man. So I think in that sense, she maybe benefited. And I think what somebody said earlier is that she caters to men. I think, well, that's maybe genuinely who she is, because if she was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and like she said, she never saw women on a podium, she only saw men. It was actually forbidden for women to be up there. She actually kind of knew, you know, the place that women belonged in. So even though she may have made some decisions to go and get on the pole or whatever, I think that that's some good fundamental teaching that she had that makes her at least diverge from the sisterhood in that regard. So kudos for her on that. But let's get it.
Women had to sit down to preach, or we had to do it in like a reenactment form. But so that's why it's just not bothersome to me. I grew up with patriarchy being completely normalized, so it doesn't bother me. And in my opinion, I feel safer. Some of the worst experiences I've had in my life have been under female management. So, you know, that's just me. So when this give you the vibes of the Kamala vibes, and then I saw women like this talking about, oh, we're going to boycott having intercourse. And I'm like, I can promise y'all, if it's women like this boycotting intercourse, you ain't got to worry about it.
Yeah, she right. Because she pointed out all them just disgusting looking women who had the nerve to threaten us with a good time by claiming that they were no longer having sex anymore. I'm like, that is one of the best things that you can threaten us with, because you best believe the world will be a better place if you're not rolling around in a sack producing possibly more things like you. Crazy. Yeah.
Okay, you ain't got to worry about it. I don't think that the men are bothered. Fellas, are y'all bothered by mean women with their arms folded, with no smiles on their face, with flaccid pantsuits on? Are y'all worried about them not giving y'all none?
I demand that they don't give me none. I'll do you one better. Not only am I not offended that they won't give me none, I command them to not give me none. Okay?
You know, let me know. So let me show you some of the Black woman tears. I just had to show y'all that first. I saw that and they're like, never fear, we are here to have your back. And I'm like, now this would scare me more than ever if I had a bunch of women that look like that, like, come on, come be with us. No. It look like full-time work over there, baby. It look like ain't no man over there. I need my man, honey. I can't do that. I could not do that, baby. I'm going the smart route. All right. I'm not letting my ego have me over there working hard, baby. I'm not doing it, honey. I want to be safe. I want to be safe. I want to be safe, baby. I can't do this. So look at this, y'all. Somebody come look at this. What Kevin Hart say? Come look at this. Somebody come look at this. And a lot of these are real tears, y'all. Sorry. These are real tears. Okay. My God, today. Jesus wept. Jesus wept, y'all. Y'all, please. Why?
Look like D being won over. She's winning you over, D. I can see it. Let's get it.
Why? Black women, boy, make up your mind. Do everybody want you to save the world? Is the world against you or not? Because you crying for what? Is there music? See, I can't post it because they're all crying to Beyonce. Did Black women collectively come together and have a meeting and say, you know what we're all going to do is we're going to post videos crying with Beyonce playing in the background? And then they all got their Kleenexes together, got their cameras ready, and was like, it just seems like we take 20 steps forward and 10 back. As a Black woman, you got to just work 10 times as harder. And I'm sitting here like, now how we got into this? How this became an issue about Black women? How this happened? Can somebody let me know?
Today is not the day. I don't know if it's just me, but I've gotten maybe like 2 or 3 messages. You're strong.
I want you to keep in mind, for me peeping the game, you know, this is the basic B sisterhood that you want to stay away from. If you'll notice in all these videos, it's a bunch of women in bonnets, turbans, headscarves, no makeup.
Yep, she's right. It's always the same ones. And don't forget the bull rings. You got to remember the bull rings. Crazy.
Fat, glasses, everything else, crying about how, oh my God, we're not helping anyone with nothing no more. I want you ladies, please, peep the game. We talk about the female losers. Peep the loser aesthetic. I want to sit here in a bonnet, no makeup, glasses with a holy t-shirt, and then complain that I'm not getting attention or no one's feeling bad for me. These are the type of women that literally harvested in the worst ways. Now they talking about don't ask us for nothing.
Today is not the day.
I'm not in the mood.
Today I am not strong. I'm not strong today. And that's okay. I am also grieving this loss. The hope that I had for this country. Gone. I am okay.
See how overly dramatic these broads are. This is crazy. It's insane that these women are taking what is actually his second term because they act like they were not alive for his first term. But somehow these idiots were able to survive that, even when we had the so-called pandemic out there. They went through all of that, and they still are around with their bonnets intact to complain. But they're acting like now the goddamn sky is falling. This is insane. But let's go.
Okay, today to not be strong. I am okay today to cry. It's like I ain't never seen a sad Black woman before.
We see too many of them. That's the freaking problem.
Black women, cry. Take the time you need. Feel it. It hurts. Today hurts.
Bama 5 Bama in the building.
We are not strong today, and that's okay.
I'm going to leave that on Patreon. So you Negroes need to rock with me over on Patreon because that's when I'm going to be revealing all that kind of stuff. But salute to Bama 5 Bama. Good to see you, bro.
Telling us to be strong. Not today. Stop telling Black women to be strong today. Today is not the day.
I'm sorry. I'm trying so hard.
If this election has not taught us Black women once
and by the way, y'all know the drill by now. If you hear snoring, it's my Frenchie. Okay? And by now, y'all know you must accept my dog along with me. He's part of the brand. He's always right here at his mommy's feet. So if y'all hear light snoring, it's my baby. He's tired from being so adorable all day. It's exhausting being so cute. Ain't that right, Duda? He says yes.
Is there not a dog named Duda? All right, all the Duda day. All right, let's get it.
Okay, let's continue.
All that it is time for us to stop advocating for other communities and mind our own fucking business so we can look out for ourselves. Then there's no hope.
Cortez, you know what? I remember that. Yeah, he used to drop some good stuff. I remember him. I wonder whatever happened to him because I think he had just stopped making videos. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Yeah, it was called Sad Black Woman. Yeah, I remember. In fact, Duda, what I say Duda for? I mean, I'm just tripping on her dog's name. No, in fact, one of the pictures that we used was the avatar that Sad Black Woman used. So that's ironic, Cortez, that you should bring that up. Because if you look at the thumbnail on the billboard, because we got the billboard with the sad Black women on it, begging for forgiveness on the billboard. And we got her on the thumbnail too, where she's kind of looking at him, side-eyeing him. But we got the billboard and we got that picture from Sad Black Woman on there. So it's kind of ironic that you would mention that. But let's go.
For us, ever. Now, I say we because I'm also a Black woman, but I got the memo before I even reached adulthood. You will never see any fruit or flag in my bio to represent a community that is not inclusive of Black people. I'm so dead ass. Like, how many times does dirt have to be kicked in our face for us to read the room? 2019, 2020, COVID hits, and there's all types of race.
And Shadow, why did he get flagged? Was it telling too much truth? Was that it?
Directed at Asian people. Here we come to defend them against the far-right rhetoric talking about...
Yeah, if you notice the thumbnail, Cortez, yeah, you'll see that same picture that you mentioned about, it's right there on the thumbnail. Yeah, we be doing magical stuff over here. I don't know how all this be happening on our Squadcast, but yeah, we got Shadow Zulu live having to put the heat on somebody, and all these kind of things that happens over here on the Night Rider Squadcast. So it's it's amazing what we do over here. But let's get it.
Stop Asian hate. It's not their fault. This is racist. This is wrong. In time, things calm down.
Once again, how nobody asked Black women to do that.
Also, D, is he if his channel's there, is he still posting? Because I haven't noticed. I haven't been over there, so I don't know. But is he still making content? Because I think it would have came up on my feed if he did. So I'm sure his channel's still there, but is he making content?
And it's so interesting to me how y'all have so much grace and understanding. Can't wait to put a flag in your bio and change your profile picture.
Yeah, that Cortez. Yeah, that's what that woman in the background was talking about. He said, did she just say they defended Asians? Why not defend black men? Oh, yeah, we already know. Yeah, and that's what she's about to go in on right there, how they put all these flags and how they got so much energy to be Captain Save 'em hoes for everybody else, but they're not even advocating for their own freaking children. Crazy.
To help communities that ain't never.
We brought out the stats, and that's why young black boys are reading way below their levels. They're not even, only 9% of them in some of these major cities are reading at grade level. But yet they got the nerve to get out here with they cock to the side as weaves on, talking about how much good they're putting into the world, how much help they're doing for everybody, but they can't even help their own sons learn how to read. It's crazy. And they're sending them to these same failed schools that these Democrats, they're the ones that are running those schools. They keep voting them in. All of these different administrators. If they're not teaching them anything, and they themselves are not teaching them anything. I remember when I was a kid, my siblings and I, we had library cards at 8 and 9 years old. We used to go in there and read, and that's why by the time I got to school, and we take those little tests or whatever, I was always scored. I was reading when I was in 7th grade. I was reading at a freaking 12th grade level. But you got boys right now in these major metropolitan areas who are only 9% reading at grade level, and these women got the nerve to talk about who they're saving. Ridiculous.
Did nothing.
And they are saving people because of those goddamn weaves they're wearing. They're putting other communities' kids through college to show you how sick it is. Not only are they giving them their political support, but they're giving them their financial support as well. Insanity.
For you, but let a black woman even remotely say, hey, I want to be with a black man. I want to make it work. I want to cooperate with him. I want to love on him. I want to figure this out. Let a sister even suggest that, and it's, pick me, male.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought, D. I haven't noticed him posting anything new as well, because I think I would have noticed by now, but yeah.
Centered, decentred men, misogynist, that's crazy. But yet, you're admitting that you get up and put your cape on to save everybody.
Yeah, I'm sure that was terrifying to to your would-be invader when they saw Shadow Zulu, the alien, the shadow man coming at him with a beam. I'm sure he thought he was going to get beamed up, Scotty, for real. Let's go. And by the way, guys, go over there and support Shadow Zulu's featured video. Go make your comments, thumbs up, because I think that's going to be a banger. I think we're going to get a lot of views off of that one. And who knows, you guys might get your own featured video. So go and support Shadow Zulu. Hey, you have to pull the heat out with the inf beam on it. But let's go.
But when anybody remotely even mentions to you to work in peace with the men in your own community, is bah humbug. But now you're talking about how you're exhausted from saving the rest of the world. Meanwhile, you wouldn't even spit on your own kind if they were on fire. Make it make sense. Now you playing a video talk about y'all tired.
The Asian community thanks us, and we go about our business. And then there's a knock at our door.
The Asian community. So she's talking about all this help that she's doing for these other communities. Not the least of which is that freaking wig on her head. Like I said, that's putting money in their pockets in real time. But she got all that time and effort and resources. But like I said, her own community is dilapidating, and you got the nerve to be bragging about what you're doing for other communities. That is pure insanity.
A couple of years later where they say, oh, by the way, fuck affirmative action, because that's not fair to us. So we're going to team up with old, wealthy, racist white men whose children and grandchildren.
Oh, yeah, Shadow, you like the thumbnail, right? Yeah, we got you like the Terminator, bro. Got that beam on him. Yeah, we did you right, Shadow.
Are guaranteed legacy admissions to get rid of affirmative action. And that's exactly what they did. Russia starts a war with Ukraine, and Ukrainians are suffering. And here we come again to save the day, with flags in our bio, hashtags for Ukraine, advocating for families, doing fundraisers, all kinds of content, all of that. And after benefiting from all of that through us, they said, oh, by the way, fuck the Black students here. They're not real Ukrainians. We're not going to evacuate them and save their lives. We will save the lives of the pets that belong to Ukrainian families. But the Black people, no. We'll give them rifles so they can defend themselves. And last but
Yeah, that's the sick part. And then it's not reciprocal. They're not even going to do the same thing. So again, we pretty much got what we need from her. But on this point that I'm going to make right here about reciprocity, right? Because I like what DJ says, that they don't need any help from you at all. They are straight. But even beyond that, what makes it even more insidious is that they wouldn't reciprocate. And these are the same type of women that make videos like this, always giving advice about interpersonal relationships being reciprocal, like this right here.
Go where the love flows. Prioritize relationships where there is mutual energy, respect, and commitment. Whether it's an intimate relationship, a friendship, a job, or even family. Anywhere or anyone you are pouring your energy into. It should always be reciprocal.
Okay, so it just so happens that we had that locked and loaded to underscore this point of how goofy how these women are moving politically when they're not getting reciprocity, but they can still make videos talking about relationships. See, as it pertains to dealing with you, they always want to make sure that that's reciprocal. See, that's the difference. See, when it comes to dealing with the white man or some other community, then it doesn't have to be reciprocal. It's always them being the quote mules that they complain that they are for you, when in reality, the rules of engagement with you are it's always reciprocal. But they can go out caping for these other communities and they don't get a goddamn thing. It's crazy. But let me I'm going to give you guys one of your favorites here, because she's actually going to make some good points. I'm going to play a little bit of what everybody's favorite villain over here, because like I said, she's a female Joker. But she actually going to go in on the Black women a bit, on the divestors, and the ops of the divestors are kind of something that we can rock with. So this EU was actually on the thumbnail as well in her original form. We're going to play a little bit of what she has to say about these divestors. Let's get it.
I want to talk about.
And I know Israel Online is now inserting his earplugs right about now, but let's get it.
The divestment to Dusty pipeline. Okay, one of the most toxic things that I've noticed about Black female empowerment spaces is not only are a lot of them male-centered, but I feel like a lot of Black women on YouTube went from being Black male-centered to now being white male-centered. And
now she makes a good point, because you see that a lot of these so-called swirlers who used to be quote blackity black hotep hoes, and so when they didn't get the proper amount of attention, or the the dusties that they were dealing with, as they like to call them, they didn't wife them up after knocking them down a few times and planting their seeds in them, such as the little picture she has right there. Then all of a sudden, then they go over and jump the fence to the brads. So she's going to make some interesting points, and we're going to dissect them. And to be sure, we do spend a lot of time picking her apart, but we got to give credit where it's due. And even the female Joker that she is can be right as well here and there. So let's get it.
we know this because whenever they're trying to combat the exotical space, they'll say stuff like, well, racist white police officers still view you as just black, or racist KKK members, they only view you as black.
But you're talking about the one speaking. This is the Exoticals United, D, if you're asking about her. If this is who you're talking about.
Or white men prefer me because I'm dark skinned and I have 4C hair.
D, who nipples are you talking about? You talking about the girl I just showed? You talking about the other picture? I think I'm late on I think I'm behind on your comments, but all right.
And so my phenotype is more different than them. All of those talking points are incredibly white male centered, but the most white male centered movement of them.
Look at Israel. He cannot stand this woman's voice. But anyway, you know, once again, we have to dissect what she's saying, because in this case, she's actually saying things that are to our benefit. So this could be one of her best videos, in my opinion. I'm going to deal with some of it. I may even make a separate video breaking it down because I don't want to go into all of it right now. I think it's only about 10 minutes, but we're going to be wrapping up soon. But I think I may make a separate video breaking down her points here because she's really going to go in on these divestors. So let's go. And I know you guys never met a roast of divestors that you didn't like. So, in that sense, I may have to do a separate video breaking this down. Let's go. But when I say video, I mean, it won't be a broadcast. I might just do another, just a regular upload. So let's go.
All is the divestment movement. And actually, I won't even say white male centered. I will just say non-black male centered, because if you look at a lot of their content, a lot of it is just.
Are you talking about the green dress woman? Yeah. Oh, bro, stick around, D. Since you noticed that, whatever little nipples, I got something for you, D. You think that's something? Stick around. Before we wrap up, I'm going to show you something else.
Either shit talking about black men, so those are the more black male centered divestors, or it'll be kind of like these social strategies on how to get into the Hispanic community, how to get into the white community. They'll make these videos like, okay, if you dress elegant, then you're going to get Brad's attention. So all of it is really social strategy.
Well, actually, Cortez, this one speaking right here, she's, I don't think she fancies herself a divestor. She's basically on some decenter men. She's the Exoticals United chick, the one that was revealed as being more like an unambiguous black woman, but she actually was advocating for the Exoticals to have their own space and so forth. And she pretty much is kind of going in on the divestors. So it's pretty interesting. I'm going to play a little bit more what she has to say. But again, because of time, I'm probably going to make a separate video where I'm dissecting what she's saying. But she actually is going to make some good points. But let's get it.
To get the attention of white men. But what they do not talk about is how to get rid of the psychological issues that cause you to attract these dusties from the non-black community. Exhibit A is Sky Jackson and her baby daddy. And some of you guys are going to say, oh, well, I think he's mixed with black or whatever. But you guys have to remember that in the black empowerment space, they view biracials as being non-black. Okay, so if you are like mixed race, they view that.
Now, she makes a good point there, and I believe we said the same thing, because, she likes to come over here and soak up some of our game as well. She's a fan of the channel. Shout out to Exoticals United. Even though she's the villain, I'm the Dark Knight over here, and she's a female Joker. She does have admiration for the points that I bring out over here. And she's correct in that the divestors don't see the biracial men or the mixed men as black, because they will still deal with them. And that underscores the point that we make in terms of there being a distinction. See, they do make those distinctions, because when they talk about they're divesting away from unambiguous black men. So let's be very clear. A lot of those divestors, they'll still deal with a mixed guy. So she did make a good point there. But let's get it.
As being non-black. And so in their eyes, a lot of them still consider it a form of divesting, which is why a lot of unambiguous mono dark-skinned black women still thirst over biracial men very heavily. It's because they are attracted to his proximity to whiteness. The same thing that they accuse black men of doing. You know how they say like, oh, this black man only likes you because you're mixed race and, you know, he couldn't get a white girl, so now he's settling for you. Well, unambiguous black women have had the same behavior. So a lot of them who couldn't get a white man, or, you know, they couldn't get like this Jeff Bezos type of white man, they will settle for, or they will chase after these mixed race and biracial pookies. And I'm not sure about this guy's racial background, but that's a good example. Another example is Keke Palmer and Darius Jackson. So you guys have to remember that.
And that's who she actually looks like. And she uses the avatar of a Blasian chick, but she's actually more like a Keke Palmer type herself, which is pretty interesting. But
looking at men who are mixed race or racially ambiguous, they do not view those men as black in the same way that they would view like Tyrese or somebody like that. So the last time I checked up on Sky Jackson, she was doing yachting. So yachting, if you guys haven't heard about that, yachting is like the girls who go on these yachts with these wealthy, mainly non-black men. And sometimes they're doing X work. Other times they're doing quote unquote modeling.
yeah, I would agree, Cortez, but that's because they have that Negroid in them as well. Let's go. Specifically, you know, while their bodies, you know, look more appealing as well. It's the same Negro genetics that some of them try to, you know, downplay, which what is the secret sauce to make them look good. But let's go.
Who knows what's going on? But that is the last time I heard of Sky Jackson. There were rumors that her mother was actually pressuring her to try to.
I wouldn't be surprised, Cortez, because, you know, they say one thing and the actions do something else. So even though she allegedly is supposed to lead a guy, just because that guy, the mixed guy that she was with, he checked her as he should when she was rubbing all of against the herpes infected groin of Usher or Gusher, whatever his name is. P Diddy's plaything, I mean, whoever, you know, whatever happened between them two, but he was checking her, and then she got the nerve to, you know, disrespect him publicly. I wouldn't have took her back, but, you know, he might be a beta, but even though he did try to G-check her when she was out there rubbing up against Usher with her bare ass hanging out, but let's get it.
To get pregnant or get married to a wealthy non-black man. So by the way, I don't know if any of that stuff is true, but those are kind of the last rumors that I heard about Sky Jackson. And now
look at Israel, yeah, he liked that Gusher, yeah. So you know how we do over here. You know how we crazy with the wordplay between me and Shadow Zulu. Yeah, I think we got the best wordplay on the internet, but let's go.
allegedly she is pregnant, but apparently she met this guy from prison. He was like some sort of prison pen pal, allegedly. So my question for the divestors is, who are they divesting to? Do you guys remember how Cynthia G used to have her YouTube channel and she would talk about who they really choose, and she would expose who black men actually are divesting to, or like who they actually marry? I feel like I could start an entire series on who black women really choose whenever they are stepping outside of the unambiguous black community. So you've got Skyjack.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the point we've made over here as well. And in fact, I think I just made that point in my recent Cynthia G video, how they always want to talk about who black men choose, but look at who they choose, right? So it's kind of crazy. But anyway, yeah, we're going to get a little bit more of this, and I'm going to show something else. So let's go.
Jackson and her prison babe. So she was basically a pen pal, and allegedly
Jolico
he doesn't
Panther.
even like her. And by the way, who would recommend getting with a guy where, you know, he doesn't even value himself, or he's literally in and out of prison? Another example of a divester is Lonnie Love. Do you guys know that actress? So Lonnie Love is a talk show host. She has a white boyfriend, James Welsh, and he is an actor. But if you look up Lonnie Love's net worth compared to James, update. So I was searching for James Welsh's net worth, and I actually couldn't even find it. So it means that basically he does not have a high net worth at all. In fact, when I looked up
Yeah, but whatever happened to leveling up and you know, and all that stuff they like to talk about, I thought the idea of them divesting was to level up and all of that. So it's kind of weird that they can always find themselves with a dusty white man, you know, a bottom shelf Brad, as it were. But they still got the nerve to try to demonize, you know, black men for being dusty, but they can always find themselves in the presence of a powder puff Pookie you know, and it's just kind of weird how they can always magnetically attract these guys. Well, let's go.
One of his websites, it's an IMDb page where all of his acting gigs recently are literally just him with Lonnie Love or him on talk shows. And so he really is like a struggling actor. If you look at his IG, it says, "Oh, I'm a SAG-AFTRA actor." That is something that like a brand new actor who is not even established in the industry would put in their Instagram bio. So it's safe to say that he is average at best in terms of income. And this is another pattern that I see. A lot of Black women who divest, they're divesting into 50-50 relationships. They're divesting into domestic violence relationships. Look at Rose from Queen of Kings. Allegedly, her man was in jail because of domestically abusing her. And not to mention the fact that he threatens her all the time. Like whenever he gets mad, he threatens her. She talked about how when she met him, he was in a basement.
Yeah, exactly. It's right. So yeah, his white skins covers a multitude of transgressions and sins. That's how Dave Carroll used to say it, I believe. So that's their consolation prize. Yeah. Yeah, they're willing to put up with a lot for that one. Let's go.
And so a lot of these women who talk about divesting, oftentimes they are paying the bills of these guys that they get with, or they're
Yeah, Israel, you said EU. This EU is stealing a lot of brothers' talking points. She's definitely lurking. I told you, bro, she stay over here, man. I wouldn't be surprised if she's lurking right now, but I know for a fact she'd be soaking up game from over here. You know, she's like a sponge. She's literally said things that I've said verbatim. But I understand she's enamored with the ism that I drop over here, and I get it. You know, it's irresistible to her. But I just let her rock out because I know she's soaking up a lot of game, and maybe it will make her a better person. So I'm not tripping. So let's go.
getting cheated on. You know how they try to talk shit about exoticals? They'll be like, you got the same black man, or like, you got cheated on, should have chose better. Well, a lot of these women who get with these white men are getting cheated on, or they're getting pumped and dumped, or they're getting abandoned. So where are the divestors when it comes to this? And by the way, for those who said that I don't care about black femicide, I don't see Chrissy talking about this. She's not talking about Sky Jackson potentially facing black femicide by getting pregnant by this guy. But another example that they use in the divestment community is Serena Williams. Serena Williams is married to the guy who's like the CEO of Reddit. That guy still actually has a lower net worth than Serena Williams. So that is a hypogamous relationship. Most of the interracial relationships with a black woman are going to be these hypogamous relationships because a lot of non-black men will use these black women as their employees. So a lot of these men...
Yeah, haven't we been saying that? We've been going in on the dynamic between a lot of these would-be divestors and how they go to these other communities and they wind up basically taking care of these guys. So yeah, that's definitely one of our talking points. Well, let's go.
This is why I say to just go ahead and decenter men altogether, because a lot of...
But that's what's so crazy about what she says, and that we've already broke down how that's a failed and flawed philosophy that she has about this decenter men. And it's not, and like somebody in the comment section once asked me, well, why do you care who the exoticals are decenter? And I told him I don't give a damn. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy and the lunacy of them saying that when this particular woman, Exoticals United, has made upwards of 70 videos about, quote, decentering men. At that point, they're pretty much centered in your life if you're making that many videos about how they're decentered. That's almost as many videos we have on our channel. But let's get it.
Men who are non-black, they view these black women as like these hard-working women. I mean, because they are, right? So a lot of non-black men will actually prey upon these social climbing black women, and they will essentially ride the coattails of these black women. Think about James. Well, I've never even heard of that guy.
You know what, Israel? I thought about that. That's the reason why certain things I've been holding back on. And some of you who've been rocking with us for a while, you know that I even flashed our Knight Rider studio and some other ideas I was about to put out. But I said, you know what? I got to wait till we get bigger because there's so many people soaking up game from over here that if I start doing some of the things that I had planned to do when I was going to do them before, some of these bigger platforms that like to come and grift and siphon off ideas from over here, they would have been doing it. And then by the time we grew and then when we start doing it, then it would look like we're biting them. So I realized that. I said, you know what? I'm gonna start waiting until we get bigger, maybe to 20,000 or something like that, subs, 20, 30,000, and then I'll start rolling out some of these ideas. But yeah, some other things too, certain topics I am going to be putting behind the paywall. So you're absolutely correct about that, Israel. I'm glad you pointed that out. But let's go.
I've heard of Lonnie Love. I've seen Lonnie Love on that talk show that she was on. But this actor guy, this washed up actor, I had never even heard of him. And so a lot of times I've noticed a pattern where these non-black men, they will see an unambiguous black woman who's kind of social.
Yeah, she's the actual she actually has a stalker personality. I think she pretty much has maybe gone through my entire library at this point, because I hear her say stuff. She even starts trying to mimic like some of the little jokes and word plays that I do. I noticed that as well. So she's really soaking up a lot of game over here. You know what I'm saying? She's soaking up a lot. So let's get it.
Climbing, she's kind of going somewhere in her career, and they will use their white skin as a way to lure that woman in, and they will essentially
See, look at that.
ride her coattails, or they will suck her dry of all of her resources. Because if you think about like Sky Jackson, she most likely has access to way more money than the guy she is pregnant by. And so in some cases, sometimes the man will actually try to sue the woman, or he will try to like
D said
get
stealing.
money out of her. And so I just feel
He said stealing, you mean? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm just, being diplomatic somewhat, but yeah, exactly. Let's go.
like a lot of black women, they basically become tricks. So you know how they talk about men tricking off their money? A lot of black women actually end up tricking off their money, essentially purchasing a white boyfriend or kind of purchasing this lifestyle for themselves, and then putting on this facade where it's like, oh, I'm so well taken care of. And then if the
Yeah. But anyway, I'm probably going to break that down further some other time. But as we come to a close here, I'm going to give you guys a few videos. I got an oldie but a goodie that Shadow Zulu is going to really enjoy, about how these women, want to give out these apologies, like this one right here. This is a little blast from the past for you guys.
Because, like, you know how men say that women have toxic feminism, and like you'll get to a certain age and like no one will want to marry you and no one will love you. Like, I feel like I've gotten to that point, guys. Like, I was so hung on to this feminism thing, and I missed out on marriage and on children. And now, like, I'm at a point in my life where, like, I'm so bitter. I'm so jealous of people who have marriages because they are so happy and their husbands don't even cheat on them. And, like, men are just the best. Like, right now.
I knew Shadow Zulu was gonna enjoy the Milk Dud special. When he first seen her, that's when he started coming up with the Milk Dud. So yeah, I had to put that back out there for your viewing pleasure. But let's go.
Is when I'm realizing like I can't do without them. And right now I'm like, I don't care like if you are rich or poor, tall, dark, handsome, ugly, I don't care, by the way. As long as you're a man and you're breathing, like that's the only qualification I need, because I'm just so desperate for a husband. Like there's a lot of pressure.
You know what? As long as it's not the bull ring Cortez, I think she just got like a little one on the side. I could deal with that a little bit, at least more so than the bull rings. That's the ones I'll be tripping on. The septum rings and all that stuff. So
around me, so if you can deal me and propose, I swear I'll behave and I'll marry you immediately. I'll wash your clothes, I'll cook for you, I'll have your children, and I'll be obedient.
Shadow Zulu, she'll have your children. So you can have a bunch of milk duds running around. You got some alien milk duds. How about that, Shadow Zulu? A bunch of alien milk duds running around. So let me give you another. So D was mentioning somebody's nipples earlier. So I think I got this lady right here. She's talking about femininity. So let's see if we can, pay attention to what she has to say.
And sake, femininity is makeup and nice bodies and sexy clothes and nice hair and all of those things, right? Just all women have that now. We all can do that to some extent. It's just a bunch of women who are visually and sexually appealing. What sets you apart from the other woman? There's a bunch of men here who wants beautiful, sexy, feminine women. All of y'all doing the same thing. What sets you apart from the other one? That's what you got to discover, right? And oftentimes that's hard because you got to get rid of the baggage. You got to do the work, the shadow work, and all these things that people talk about, but they don't associate that with discovering your femininity and standing in your feminine energy. We only associate the pretty, fun things. You got to get in the dirt first. Get in the dirt, meaning build your foundation. Most of y'all are not building a foundation. You're building the house, the exterior, the things that people can see. I use men and I say this is why men get bored with women, but I'm going to use myself. I get bored with women. Eventually,
Child, it looks like it's everything else but that. And Israel said, what are those Z cups? Perhaps.
I stopped talking to them. And it's no hard feelings, but I need to be stimulated. And a lot of times, all women talk about is either looks, men, or the baggage that they won't put down. Bag lady, you're going to hurt your back. Like, it's really nothing else to women. And after a while, they get boring. And I don't have sex with women, so there's nothing for me to really hang around for. There's nothing that's setting most women apart. That's what you got to work on. You.
Yeah, so there you have it. So yeah, it just comes down to a lot of these women, they're giving these apologies, these different assessments, and a lot of you guys, I think for you it's too little too late, but it's good for them to come to the realization that they've been led astray, they've been bamboozled, they've been hoodwinked, run amok, all that kind of stuff. So it's unfortunate for them, but they didn't found out too late. And it's just going to turn out the way it's going to turn out. And they just have to realize that it's pretty much over, But that's what they signed up for, a lot of them. And it is what it is. But anyway, guys, we're going to wrap it up. Appreciate you guys once again for showing up and showing out. You guys have been going in. Don't forget to support Shadow Zulu's featured video. Go, give them a like. Go give them a comment. We put that out there for him with his unique experience. I think that video is going to do well because, it's one of the few times that I'm aware of where someone has to pull a strap out on a live. But we're glad he is alive, that he didn't have to, that the guy didn't get the drop on him because he was tuning in to the Knight Riders Squadcast as the guy was trying to break in, but he was able, to hear him. He got the strap, got the inf beam on him. Shout out to Shadow Zulu. And ironically, that's the topic that we were dealing with was the Knight Riders and being prepared and all of that. So it's pretty interesting how that all worked out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Appreciate all of you guys for rocking out with us in the middle of the night. Salute to all you guys, Knight Riders in the building, and all you guys who are going to watch the playback. Salute to you. And yeah, we appreciate you. Once again, we're going to end the way we always do. We're not just a broadcast. We are a squadcast. There's a very big difference. Mission complete. Over and out.